All right. Welcome to episode 103 of the Below the O Line podcast. I'm your host, Joe Laney Pavlon. Alongside with me tonight, welcome back, Justin Hebert.
Yep.
Last week I had to do practically three-fourths of the podcast solo, so I had to
Yeah.
make 2 or 3 Joes out of myself. Joe going into Joe is one, but this ain't math.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, at least I have
Yep.
someone to talk motorsports with this time around.
Yep.
And I tell you what, a motorsports weekend that I always look back at includes NASCAR, of course. We have all 3 series. We have Formula One look ahead on it, and the 12 hours of Sebring. We'll get into endurance racing as well as everything else. We'll get started as we always do with NASCAR. And wow, the second 500-mile race of the season sure did not disappoint, but it was very, very fluid, I tell you.
Yep.
We thought Kyle Larson had this thing in the bag. It looked like Kyle Larson's in no man's land. He leads 269 of the 325 laps. And then all of a sudden, with the last 15 laps of the race, that gap went from 7 seconds to 6 seconds, 6 seconds to 5 seconds, 5 seconds to all of a sudden 3 seconds, 2 seconds. We're in the final 7 laps, and Ryan Blaney went right past Kyle Larson. You could tell where the tires put this show into effect. How much did tires matter yesterday?
A lot. It really mattered because, tire wear did matter because we've had some people, their tires would get so worn after many laps. Example, towards the end of the race, before the final pit stop, Kyle Larson ran 45 laps on his tires, and they were worn really badly. They had to run 58, so he had to run 13 extra laps on that's the next set than the previous set. But I could tell, Kyle Larson's handling went off with the tires. He was so loose, which was a problem compared to Blaney. Blaney probably saved more tires and push at the end, but Larson pushed too early, which you can't always push too early, or you could have tire problems and lose grip and lose positions.
And once you lose positions, it all goes down from there. It's the seconds you go around this track, you just rise much longer. You're going to be passed like a lap car. The tires just were so sensitive yesterday. 13 sets of tires.
Yeah,
I don't think that was enough to sustain the old surface at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah,
well, let's talk about the finishing order here. Ryan Blaney led 25 laps from the 10th starting spot, picked up, believe it or not, just his 5th career win. This is a win Ryan Blaney was looking for many times last year that never came. Although he took the checkered flag at Talladega, one win certainly wasn't enough for the statistics Ryan Blaney put up last year, especially early in the season, just before the pandemic hit. And post-pandemic, it took a while for him to readjust, but by the time we reached Talladega, started to go his way, and then just went, mediocre from there. Yeah. Ryan Blaney made a statement yesterday. The Team Penske camp might just be the better Ford guys in terms of the factory teams. What does that mean? Well, we still have lots of racing left, and with Ryan Blaney's victory, we are now 6 for 6 in different winners in the NASCAR Cup Series. What does that mean for something that for the season? Listen, in the chase era, the playoff era from 2014 present, since the dawn of this elimination style format, where if you win in the first 25 races and stay in the top 30 points, you go into the 16-man playoffs that are in the final 10 races of the season. We have never exceeded 16 victories before the end of the first 25 races. But now there's plenty of time for that to happen, Justin.
Yeah, because we only completed 6 races. Next race is race 7, Bristol Dirt. Like, there's so many races you could have a random winner. Like, Bristol Dirt, dirt drivers might perform. You like Bristol Dirt, and then you have many other tracks, like a short track at Martinsville. Then you got Richmond, another short track. Then you got the high banks at Talladega. It's basically, you got some of these tracks like that are unknown.
What about all the new tracks? What about a track that hasn't been in the Cup Series since the mid-'50s, Road America?
You got
National Superspeedway.
Yeah, Indy Road Course. Yeah.
What about returning tracks? Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and also another track, it's like there's some tracks that now have 2 dates. Like there's 2 Darlington races on the calendar now. You also got another thing, another race that you have 2 dates now. Atlanta, they have a second date all the way in July in
a 400-mile race in Atlanta.
Yeah, and hot temperatures during July.
Big time. Think about how much the tires were being, shredded like a cheese grater at Olive Garden. I had to put it like that. But I guess Ryan Blaney preserved better than Kyle Larson did. It looked like we were going to have our first multi-time winner in the season. Larson, let's talk about Kyle Larson for a minute here. He won stage 1, stage 2 with ease, led 269 laps from the 6th starting spot. It looked like we were going to have another episode of Larson Land. Like, let's go back to Las Vegas in, over 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Las Vegas, Kyle Larson cashed in and won. But he's never won a 500-mile race. And that's something I actually pointed out yesterday when I was on the phone, my friends on Skype. Justin, you were at work, of course, so you didn't hear. But I said Kyle Larson never won a race on a 500-mile event.
Yep. And
400 miles, he would have won that race.
Yeah,
those extra 100 miles sure made the difference between Kyle Larson winning and losing this race.
And also about Kyle Larson, he's always been close at Atlanta also, but he just can't bring it home. He's been so close to winning Atlanta many times. Just can't. He just can't bring it home.
Let's go down the results in the finishing order. Alex Bowman picked up 3rd place finish of Atlanta Motor Motorsport. 2 cars in the top 5. Very, very needed run for Alex Bowman. He didn't lead any laps, but he kept the car clean.
Yep.
Bringing it home in 3rd place. 4th place, Denny Hamlin. Hamlin led 27 laps after starting the race from the pole position. Kyle Busch, Hamlin's teammate, finished 5th from the 19th starting spot. Kyle had an eventful day.
Yeah.
Kept the car clean and brought it home in 5th. Austin Dillon finished 6th. Very stable run for the grandson of Richard Childress. Chris Buescher, speaking of stability, there's another one. Chris Buescher finishing in the 7th spot after starting 17th. He finished 10 spots better, and hopefully I'm not losing connection here. 8th place, William Byron, who led 2 laps. Byron started 9th, finished 1 spot better in the 8th position. And Martin Truex Jr. Martin Truex Jr., who started 2nd, the winner from Phoenix last week, brought it home in 9th. And Kevin Harvick, who had an eventful day, somehow managed to get a top 10 out of it. Harvick started 7th, but spent most of the race 1 lap down. What happened to Kevin Harvick, Justin?
Harvick he had a left rear down.
It was just before the restart. Kevin Harvick, yeah, you're right. I had to remember, like, what happened to Harvick? Yeah, it was the first restart. The pace car just about to come in, and Kevin Harvick had to follow the pace car.
Yeah,
he was reporting a tire going down, and if you even try to go around the speedway with the tire that's going down, you're going to lose big time at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
And they at first they weren't sure of pitting until Fox's cameramen focused on that number focused on Harvick's car. Right as they saw that the tire was flat, they brought Harvick in because you can't run with a flat left rear tire. It's not going to work. Driving with, plus at Atlanta where tires get eaten up so badly. Yeah.
Let's look outside the top 10 real quick. Daniel Suarez. Gosh, my heart aches for Daniel Suarez. About to bring home possibly the best finish for his new team, Trackhouse Racing. Led one lap, was running as high as 6 in the last green flag run. Was caught speeding on pit road, exiting, and had to come through, serve a drive-through penalty, but brought it back to 17th place finish. But 17th place certainly did not reflect Daniel Suarez's performance yesterday.
No, he was fast. Like, that 99 car had speed in it. He was running in the top 10 for most of the event until that pit stop, getting a penalty. But if it would have happened under caution, it would have not been bad. No, this was under green. The final pit stop of the race, under green, he got that speeding on exit. So he had to come do a pass through, managed to get 17th out of it.
One thing I've noted about not Daniel Suarez, but for pitting, making these green flag pit stops, especially twice in the final stage, is very easy to speed down pit road. It's tempting, especially during a green flag stop. It's tempting to beat the guy in front of you, or to just, have the latest entry as possible. Just slam on the brakes, which, I mean, it's merely impossible at Atlanta anyways with the surface. But
yeah,
Daniel Suarez just got caught. It was very painful. In 17th place it is. I'm just glad he brought it back in the top 20. And to see a new team perform that well gives me hope for the later races that we have down the road. Yeah. And last but not least, Kurt Busch retired from the race after a crash where he tangled Denny Hamlin on restart. Kurt Busch led one lap and started 14th, but that's certainly going to hurt him in the points.
Yeah.
Took him out of the top 10 in the championship, and that's where we go now. Let's discuss the championship standings. So 6 races complete. Denny Hamlin has kept the points lead. Now it's not as a drastic increase because Kyle Larson has closed the gap. It's now a 43-point difference between Hamlin and Larson. Joey Logano is third, minus 63 from Denny Hamlin. Martin Truex Jr. fourth, minus 65. Brad Keselowski is fifth, minus 71. Kevin Harvick, sixth place, minus 74. Ryan Blaney, seventh, minus 86. William Byron, minus 89 in eighth place. With 183 points, minus 94, tied for ninth and 10th. Christopher Bell and Chase Elliott, the defending champion, has climbed up to the top 10 in points once again. But it's not just the point standings we have to look at. With the current situation of the win and you're in system that's been going on for 7 years, 6 different drivers have locked into the NASCAR playoffs by winning a race. Those drivers include from highest to lowest based off points: Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Ryan Blaney, William Byron, Christopher Bell, and Michael McDowell.
Yep.
So 6 spots already taken by wins. Now let me go down the top seeds from drivers who have not won a race yet. Denny Hamlin, not Martin Truex, Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Chase Elliott, Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Alex Bowman, Kurt Busch, Chris Buescher.
Yep.
And to think that they're not going to win a race at all this year, that's beyond me.
Oh, my.
Those are the drivers on the grid, and they're still searching for win number 1 of 2021. Now, that is another question. What happens if more than 16 drivers win before the end of round 25, which is the cutoff before the 16
round 25?
playoff?
That was round 26. It's usually round
26. 26. I meant.
Yeah.
What happens?
I don't know.
The highest driver that has points with the win that would get to the championship. Chase. Now, I'm going to be honest. This has never happened. It has not happened in the Xfinity Series. In fact, it's probably very, very unlikely to ever have 12 drivers win before the final 6 races.
Oh my
playoffs. And then the Truck Series, especially the Truck Series, even then it's way more likely to happen in the Trucks than in Cup at all. Close call in 2019. I think we were 2 seats shy from that happening.
Oh my. I just read something that doesn't make sense. People are wondering, how is Denny Hamlin leading the points? I'm like, it's not. I was about to say, it's not. I know he doesn't have a win, but it's not wins that leads the points. That's only in the playoffs. It's actual regular season points. Hamlin has the most of them. That's how he's leading.
Yes. There's a difference between the regular season championship and the NASCAR playoff standings. NASCAR playoff standings are basically what sets the table for the final 10 races of the season.
Yeah, we're only race.
We're about to hit race 7.
And
that we'll leave off from the Cup Series. That will be the Bristol Dirt Race, first ever dirt race since Raleigh, North Carolina of 1970. Listen, I almost defeated myself in grammar right there. Let's move on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series and talk about the Echo Park 250 at Atlanta Motor Speedway. It was certainly an eventful one for one or two more reasons, but we will recap everything that happened on Saturday for the 6th race and the final race in the first stretch of 2021 NASCAR Xfinity Series in the schedule for Atlanta Motor Speedway. So the first 6 races were held consecutively from the start, the Daytona 300, all the way until Saturday at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Then they have an off week, 2 off weeks, the Xfinity guys. But let's take a look at what happened on Saturday. Once again, the veterans had the upper hand.
Yep.
Which I've noticed a trend in the Xfinity Series. It seems like we're starting to see the younger half versus the veterans. The veterans, who are they? Justin Allgaier, H.J. Allmendinger, Michael Annett, Daniel Hemrick. I'd say now throw Justin Haley in the mix.
Yeah.
What about Josh Berry? I know he's a veteran, but not so much in the series, but he's kind of reaching that age. Ryan Sieg. Who are the youngsters? Harrison Burton, Noah Gragson, Riley Herbst.
Yep.
Mike Snyder. And the veterans prevailed this time around. Absolutely, no doubt. Justin Allgaier beat Martin Truex Jr. when Allgaier's Chevrolet prevailed in the final 30 laps of the race. Justin Allgaier led 47 laps driving for Dale Jr. from the 6th starting spot. This was the 15th career win for Justin Allgaier. And that puts him in a position to compete for the championship. And he's never won the title before, but now an early win of the season will always give you good morale.
Yep. He just wants to make sure he could get stage points because the playoff points matter in this series. That helps you in the playoffs. Without playoff points, you're going to struggle. You need to at least have some buffer into each round because you don't want to be one of them outside of the 12th out of example
through the cutoffs and the rounds. You want to have enough stage points and playoff points to keep you secure.
Yeah, you don't want to be the last one in there and trying to work hard and then push too hard and then get into an accident or have a mistake.
Right. Allgaier is good at making it to the championship for us. That's definitely a great start.
Yeah.
Martin Truex Jr., who made his first start in over 10 years since his first start since Homestead Miami Speedway, the finale from 2010. The 2-time NASCAR Xfinity Series champion almost won after a decade of not racing in the series. Martin Truex Jr. won Stage 1 and Stage 2. He led 103 laps driving for Joe Gibbs Racing from the 18th starting spot. I mean, he was already in the lead after 7 laps.
Yeah.
And just like the Cup Series, the driver who led the most laps and won Stage 1 and Stage 2 failed to take the checkered flag.
Yep.
Third place, Harrison Burton, another good run for Joe Gibbs Racing, second and third. Harrison Burton started fifth. Noah Gragson, we'll talk about him a little bit more later, started 30th, made it all the way up to fourth after recovering from an accident early on. AJ Allmendinger, who actually had been part of that first crash, recovered for a top five after starting third. So Allmendinger fails to win back-to-back NASCAR Xfinity Series races at Atlanta Motor Speedway. In fact, this is the first year that Atlanta will have two Xfinity races on the same season.
Yep, the other one's in July, the same weekend as the Cup Series.
So I'm sure teams are taking notes a little more than they would usually do.
Yep.
Seventh place, Michael Annett. Michael Annett had a very, very strong car, started 27th, made 20 spots higher to the seventh spot. Justin Haley started eighth. Daniel Hemrick, we'll talk about him a little more later, started 11th, finished ninth. And Ryan Sieg, the owner-driver, rounded out the top 10, started 35 in the back and made it up to 10th place. Great job for the owner-driver.
Yep.
Austin Cindric, who was involved in that first crash, led 6 laps, the first 6 laps of the race from pole position, made it up to 13th at the end. But certainly we've seen better races from Austin Cindric, and he was just unlucky in this case. Colby Howard led 3 laps after starting 23rd. He finished 21st. Brandon Brown, who finished 33rd, had issues towards the end, started 4th, finished 33rd.
Yep.
All right, so we talked about the battle for the win, but after the race in the cooldown lap, in the middle of an interview with PR and Performance Racing Network that Noah Gragson was having, racing driver Daniel Hemrick and his crew came right up to Noah Gragson and his pit crew from Junior Motorsports, initiating a physical altercation. And and we'll have to remind what led to this incident. During a pit stop under caution, Noah Gragson, just in front of Daniel Hemrick, where Hemrick's car was being serviced. Oh, my camera's lagging. All right, turn it off.
Yeah, I was noticing it kept freezing every couple seconds. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah,
but I was going to mention that Noah Gragson was approaching his pit box just in front of Daniel Hemrick's pit box while Hemrick's car was getting serviced by his crew during the pit stop cycle. Noah Gragson slightly mixed his box and immediately put his car in reverse and backed into Daniel Hemrick's Toyota.
Yeah.
Instead of just recorrecting his Gragson's Chevrolet, he backed in to another car in the middle of a
pit stop.
And I don't want to be all opinionated about this. It's very easy for me. You've probably seen it already on the internet and heard about other people's takes. But is there any reason why someone should use their car as a weapon in pit road?
No, for me, I wouldn't back up into someone's car while a crew is pitting, because we've seen accidents on pit road before. Example, remember that we've had so many accidents in pit road before. Remember the pileup? That
how about the Cup race, the Brickyard 400 last year?
Yeah, there was a big crash on the pit road, and one of the Ryan Blaney's crew members got injured because of.
Sorry, I don't have my camera on. My quality's getting a little bad right now. I might turn it on later.
Right.
I just want to explain. It's dangerous enough for pit crew members to be out there. Where other cars are going in and out at such fast speeds with the open racetrack just some 20 yards across. His car in Noah Gragson to back his car into someone else, Daniel Hemrick, in the middle of Hemrick having his pit stop, in the middle of his crew being out over the wall.
Yeah.
Which is already a dangerous job on its own.
Yeah.
Where is NASCAR here taking notice of this kind of reckless behavior? Now, don't get me wrong. Noah Gragson is a very talented driver. He's a popular figure. Even in the Xfinity Series for 3 years, his personality and youthfulness is enough to gain that popularity. Noah Gragson has won Snowball Derby. He was a very successful driver back in the days with Kyle Busch Motorsports in the Truck Series.
Yeah.
He's very interactive on social media, which is great for the younger population. But let's not forget, Noah Gragson also has some struggling situations off the racetrack, starting with his father's case a few years ago, which is not the reason for this rant. I will call it a rant, but he's one of the drivers that are coming into the sport with more fundings, more money, better equipment. Like it or not, Noah Gragson is in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, and he's a pretty decent driver. In fact, his stats don't really reflect on his driving. He could really drive a damn car. But long story short, is Noah Gragson mature enough to get a Cup ride anytime soon? If that behavior stays, and these teams I'm sure are watching.
Yeah. Because
what's going to be the future of Noah Gragson if this doesn't change?
I don't know, because people's like, oh, he's going to take over one of the Hendrick cars next year. People are saying that, oh, Byron and Bowman, their seats are at risk because Gragson is going to take one of their rides. But with that, like, not just people like fans notice. There's even Denny Hamlin talked about it on Twitter about Hemrick getting backed into by Noah Gragson. And he said that Gragson was not, like, you don't use your car, you don't back up your car into someone on pit road during a pit stop. Like, it's so dangerous. We've seen crew members get injured because of...
We've seen deaths. We've seen crew members lose their lives back then.
Yeah.
Over accident on pit road.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. One of Richard Petty's crew members.
Yeah.
And you know the rules have changed now. Everybody must wear fire suits. Crew members wear helmets. That was about 20 years something ago.
Yeah.
What else? There must be an active hose on every stall in case of a fire.
Yeah.
Whatnot. And
but there's still people that get injured, like Ryan Blaney's crew member. Remember, he injured his knee. Remember, he injured his knee because of a car. The accident in the Brickyard 400. He injured his knee.
Accidents, and those are prevalent enough to injure these pit crew members and put somebody at risk. It's another thing. That's one thing. You know, people make mistakes. I've seen drivers lock up their brakes on pit road. I've seen crew members get knocked over. It's very dangerous. I've seen flying jacks before, but for someone to deliberately back their car into someone else with their crew members over the wall, and for NASCAR to take very little action, that to me says that they're taking entertainment over safety.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one to bash NASCAR. It's not my place to do that. But that does say a lot.
Yeah. Because I know fans want entertainment, but you got to talk about safety because you need safety. You can't, I know in, example, I know being in a stock car, it's safe. But a pit crew member getting hit by a car, that's not safe. Not even close to being safe. Like remember in 2016 ARCA, remember Gus Dean had brake issues and hit his crew member, and his jackman fell on his back on pit road?
Absolutely scary.
It's like Brad Keselowski a few years ago in 2015 did the same thing at Pocono.
Pocono's one of the most dangerous pit stalls to work on the car.
Yeah,
but I want to move on to the standings now. I think we said more than we should. Watch NASCAR by the numbers later this week. I'm sure Armani and Will are going to have a different set of opinions on that. Either way, NASCAR made the call, and we have to accept it and move on. That there will be no further action taken from the Noah Gragson Daniel Hemrick situation. Let's move on to the NASCAR Xfinity Series points, starting with the top 10 in the championship after 6 races now. They go into the first off week of the season. And the drivers, Austin Cindric, 46 points now. He most likely would have extended that points lead had he won a stage or two and not experienced the problems that he had. But still, nonetheless, he's in a good position. Daniel Hemrick, 46 points. I'm like the whole situation with Noah Gragson kind of set him back because his car had problems ever since. But 9th place finish kept the gap pretty steady from last week to this week, 46 points of the difference. Harrison Merton, 3rd place, minus 65 points. AJ Allmendinger, 4th, minus 83. His teammate is 1 point back. Or 1 spot back. Yes, 1 point back. Justin Haley, minus 84. Jeb Burton, so all the colleague racing cars, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Jeb Burton, minus 90 from the championship leader. Mike Snyder, 7th place, minus 98 from Austin Cindric. Justin Allgaier, who won on Saturday, 8th place, minus 106. Jeremy Clements, 9th, minus 112. And 10th place, Brandon Jones, back in the top 10. He ran all the laps, even though met minimum speed. So he got the points needed to bring his car back to the top 10 in the championship.
Yeah, there was only 3 out of the race. So, Brandon Jones, he was limping his... He was part of that accident with Brett Moffitt on the back straightaway. He was actually the one that got turned on the back straightaway. He still managed to finish. Like, he had so much damage. I'm like, no, Brandon Jones is done. Nope, he ended up still finishing, which that was impressive, seeing that 19... No, it was impressive seeing the 19 finish, even with all that damage. So he had a lot of damage on that 19 car and still finished.
So let's see. The next race, as I mentioned, it's their first off week.
Yeah,
2 weeks because the other week NASCAR Easter, everything's off for them. On the 9th of April, the Martinsville 250 round 7 to 33. So if you like tempers flaring in a NASCAR race,
it's Friday night racing. Friday night racing.
There you go.
People thought there was tempers flaring at Atlanta because of that pit road accident. Martinsville, people are going to start...
Track racing's warrant short tempers, so get ready.
And also, people don't have to worry about getting stuck on the grass anymore. They removed the grass in the curbs.
I completely forgot.
But people are complaining, but they actually didn't... Before, there was actually no grass at Martinsville in the curbs. It was just curbs. And
you're not even going to touch the grass anyways, not even on a good day. Let's move on to the Truck Series. We have to talk about that because 200 miles were complete. And how fitting. Kyle Busch taking the win. The winningest driver in the NASCAR Truck Series picked up his 60th career win, becoming the first driver in series history to win 60 races in the NASCAR Truck level. Kyle Busch, the owner-driver, led 102 laps after starting second to pick up his 60th career win. Austin Hill running up to a second place finish. Toyotas were so strong they finished first through fourth. It seemed like if you wanted to win this race, you had to drive a Toyota. Austin Hill is a good example of that. He almost won last year and pretty much showed why he's fast in these mile and a halves. John Hunter Nemechek won stage 1 and stage 2. The veteran led 21 laps to finish third from the pole position.
Yep.
Johnny Sauter, veterans, speaking of veterans, we've seen the veterans have the upper hand in this race. Started 13th, and truck number 13 finished P4.
Yep.
Sheldon Creed rounded up the top 5 with his GMS Racing teammate Zane Smith.
Yep.
Ross Chastain taking a cameo appearance from the Cup Series in 7th place. He started dead last. The Nice Motorsports driver brought it home into the top 10. Didn't lead any laps, but it was certainly a nice run for Chastain. 3-time champion Matt Crafton started 3rd, led 3 laps, finished 8th. 9th place Brett Moffitt, who had an engine change in the final minutes before the cars were brought from the paddock to the grid. Moffitt, of course, had to start from the rear after that, but Brian home in 9th, and Stuart Friesen rounded up the top 10. So you're wondering, where's the highest finishing Ford, you may ask? That honor goes to Todd Gill in 17th place.
Oh. Okay, that was weird. I'm just watching March Madness on my TV, Ohio versus Creighton on TNT, and one of the people from Ohio's shoe broke apart somehow. It just
felt like how the tires broke apart at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I just noticed. Yeah, but yep, the truck race was it was interesting. Interesting moments at one point. It was not eventful compared to. Like, it was not that eventful. Like, we had cautions. No, we didn't.
It's pretty clean. Actually, the only cautions that came out were the competition caution and the 2-stage yellows.
Yeah, because and everybody drove clean.
I was a little surprised by that.
Yeah, and people were wondering who finished 40th. Norm Benning was parked on lap 72 for running two. NASCAR said the reason
the minimum speed wasn't met far too many times.
So basically, it just says instead of like running accident or something, it just says too slow.
By the way, let's highlight some other drivers that made appearances in this race. How about Josh Berry? Josh Berry had to step in for the sideline Chris Wright. Chris Wright tested positive for COVID-19. Yep. The Young's Motorsports driver was sidelined, and thus Josh Berry took over. Josh Berry, in last minute's notice, brought home 22nd. It was his first start since Chicagoland of 2016. Ooh. It has been quite some time since he last stepped in the Truck Series. How about Chase Purdy? His first ever lap sled in the Truck Series, led 4 laps, started 26th, finished 24th. Brett Holmes, the owner driver who won the ARCA Championship last year, picked up his career best finish of 32nd. And this, I can't stop smiling thinking about this. Bill Lester, for the first time in almost 14 years, I was a little kid when he last drove in the Truck Series. Nashville Superspeedway, 2007. Bill Lester makes his return to the NASCAR Truck Series. And wasn't that a treat or what?
It was interesting, but I know he didn't have the best truck. He said his truck was so loose that whole race. But a funny thing is, when Bill Lester made his final truck start before 2021, I didn't even start kindergarten yet. I only started kindergarten that September of 2007. And I graduated high school in 2020. So it's been a while. Like,
let me see the date of that truck race from Nashville Superspeedway. Okay. That was around 15. August of 2007? I don't even know, and I don't even want to know because it was completely different then. But a lot has changed, certainly, in NASCAR and everything else between then and now. And he's age 60. I can't believe he's gotten back into the Truck Series. Maybe he'll make some more appearances. You never know.
Yeah, it's like literally when I thought about Bill Lester being back on, I'm like, 2007 Nashville. I looked at the day, I'm like, I didn't even start kindergarten because I only started that in September of 2007. So I was not even in school when Bill Lester made his last truck start before.
I remember playing NASCAR 6, and Bill Lester would be in the truck roster.
Oh yeah, Bill Lester, and he's recently I've been seeing Bill Lester when What If's playing NASCAR 07 right now, and Bill Lester's in the Truck Series, and he kind of pissed Bill Lester off in his truck.
The AI rivals and system.
Yeah.
I gotta hook my original Xbox together. It's in my closet. Yep.
Yeah,
I
it's like
have to play NASCAR 07 again. NASCAR 6, all the
yeah,
cool games from the past.
yeah, yeah. It's like yeah, it's
Okay,
yeah,
enough nostalgia. you know,
yeah.
it's great to see him back. What about another driver that we haven't seen in quite some time? How about Akinori Ogata? He made one start
Yeah,
last year, but he's back in the truck. Actually, two starts. He's back in the
yeah,
truck. So welcome back,
yeah.
Akinori Ogata.
And do you know what's interesting? This was
Yeah,
a thing that was interesting about the Rayom lineup. Yeah, Aikinori Ogata from Japan. His teammate Ryan Ellis. A thing that is, he's half Japanese, which people don't
interesting.
know. Yeah. So yeah, which was an interesting
And no, he's not the Ryan Ellis that plays in the National Hockey
no.
League.
And also about interesting about what happened. People were like, "Oh, is there any trucks that has had the same sponsors?" There was a few trucks sponsored by Overton, so we had
Marcus Lemonis.
yeah, like wow, like it started with Camping World at Vegas, and then Overton's with you had two GMS trucks with Overton's. You also had the 34 truck, Norm Benning, like yeah, it's different trucks with
It's
Overton's
ridiculous.
sponsorship. I kept getting confused. Like I got confused a little bit. I'm like, who's this again? Because when you see an Overton's truck, you expect it's you know who it is. But when you got a few trucks with the same
So there's a double Spider-Man meme.
yeah, it's like the 10 trucks at Vegas. We had 10
Yeah, sponsored by Camping World. Camping World this, Camping World that. Okay, let's take a look at the point standings. So 4 races down.
Yeah.
In this 22 race campaign, and it's John Hunter Nemechek who extends that points lead, 47 points over Ben Rhodes. Sheldon Creed, last year's champion, moves up to third. He's minus 50 behind John Hunter Nemechek. The 3-time champion Matt Crafton, fourth in points, minus 59. Stuart Friesen in fifth, minus 82. Austin Hill, sixth, minus 89. Johnny Sauter, seventh, minus 101 points. Eighth place, Zane Smith, minus 105. Ninth place, Grant Enfinger, minus 107, though he won't run all the races. And how about this? 10th place, Carson Hocevar. He made it in the top 10. This rookie driver who we really have to shed more spotlight on before he starts taking the world by storm, because he certainly will by the numbers he's put.
Like, yeah, I know people are always talking about, Chandler Smith, Haley Deegan for rookies and stuff, which Chandler Smith did get
Carson Hocevar is going to take both of them down.
Yeah, Carson Hocevar. I know he started last year running some truck races, but I saw him in ARCA for KBR Development before they shut down. He was running races in 2018, 2019. He was fast.
Very fast.
Yeah, and he even in a Nice Motorsports truck, I know they had GMS Alliance. This year they don't have a fully Alliance, so they're like fast but not fast at times. But Carson Hocevar, he showed speed in that 42 truck. Like, remember when he got hit by his teammate? Remember when him and Ryan Truex made contact off pit road during the Daytona road course? Hocevar still finished 14th and with that whole damaged truck. And still finished 14th with rear and front damage on the 42. Which is quite impressive.
Yep. Well, the Truck Series makes their first of 2 dirt track appearances this weekend at the Bristol Dirt Race. We'll go detail by detail into that later on. And we'll hop back into NASCAR in just a minute, but let's move forward into the Supercars schedule. And that, of course, was the Sandown Shane Van Gisbergen Supersprint. I think we just need to call it the Shane Van Gisbergen Championship at this point, because he's been absolutely ridiculously fast. Perfect. He's literally perfect. 5 races down, and it's all SVG. He's won every single one of them.
Yeah, and people are like, remember last year, Joseph, when me and you kept joking, we called it the Scott McLaughlin series?
Yeah, now he's gone. He's in IndyCar in the state.
Now it's Shane Van Gisbergen.
Something else.
He was so fast. Like,
and not to mention, he's not even at 100% here. No. Shane Van Gisbergen, between the last 2 weeks, during the off week after the Mount Panorama 500, the Kiwi sustained a broken collarbone after an injury during a cycling accident. Now,
Yep.
Jamie Gisbergen had to undergo surgery. He went through successful surgery right then and there afterwards. And I'm not a doctor or anything, but it wasn't 100% that SVG would run all the races. I believe Garth Tander was. I know he's part of the broadcast network now, but Garth Tander, who is part of the AAA race engineering team, was possibly going to replace him, if I'm not mistaken, or it might have been the Super 2 driver. Forgot his name. But Angelo something.
Yeah.
But SVG brought back the rehab within his grid. Okay, this is the champion from 2016 here. He won the Bathurst 1000 with passion in 2020. When Van Gisbergen got in the car for practice 1 for race 1, and I forgot to mention this was week 2 and rounds 3, 4, and 5. There were 3 races. That were in the past weekend at Sandown. And yes, welcome back to Victoria. First race in the state of Victoria since the COVID-19 pandemic. But where am I going with this? Shane Van Gisbergen started 17th, towards the back. It kind of expected it. It seemed like everybody was going to rule him out because he just wasn't at 100% in qualifying and practice. Shane spent more time kind of rehabbing into the cockpit. More or less than putting out fast laps. And of course, that's understandable. He started 17th, but in that race, and each race was 36 laps long, he crawled towards the front ever so slightly. And wow, the battle in race 1 was extremely extraordinary. We had Chaz Mostert, who led from the pole. He was in front for most of the time in the closing stages. You had Cam Waters, who set the tone for the field. No doubt, at this point, Cam Waters is the lead Ford driver of the series. Taking Scott's throne here. Jamie Whincup. And then all of a sudden, here comes Shane Van Gisbergen just putting out really fast laps. And I can't remember what lap it was, but it was just like a handful of laps to go. SVG saw an opportunity to pounce on Cam Waters, Chaz Mostert, and Jamie Whincup. 3 cars. He passed 3 cars in 2 turns to win race 1.
Oh my gosh. You're talking about a driver with a broken collarbone. I remember when he got out of the car, he had his good
He could barely turn himself out of the car.
Yeah, he had his good arm. You saw him waving with his good arm, and then you just saw his collarbone, the outer arm, just stationary to not injure it. It's like he did that with a broken collarbone from starting 17th. That is impressive. That is really impressive.
But it was also risky. Very risky. But
it was.
Who could blame him for saying, yes, I'm going to take the risk and go out there and race? Because I'm leading in the points stakes. That's the mentality of Shane Van Gisbergen here.
He wants to get a second title. He's looking for a second title. He really wants.
Opportunity hasn't got any bet. It's probably the greatest opportunity that Van Gisbergen has since his first title, 2016. His 43rd career win, 120th career podium. Let's move down the podium here. Cam Waters finished 2nd in race 1, leading the most laps, led 20 laps, and I think he just got way too comfortable in the race. Waters started 2nd. It was his 21st career podium. 3rd place, 7-time champion Jamie Whincup. Remember, this is the last season for Whincup racing full-time for a championship. Whincup picked up his 253rd career podium after starting 3rd and finishing 3rd. Mark Winterbottom started and finished 4th. Anton DePasquale finished 5th. And Chaz Mostert, as I was going to mention, Chaz Mostert had the better car towards the end and in the beginning. Led 7 laps from the pole, picked up his 21st career pole, but it seemed like he pushed the car far too hard in the closing laps, relegating his efforts to a 6th place finish. 7th place went to Brad Jones Racing driver Nick Perkett. Percat started 14th, finished 7 spots higher. Andre Heimgartner led 1 lap. After starting 7th, he came home 8th. James Courtney, the 2010 champion, finished 9th. And Jack LeBrock finished in 10th. Scott Pye led 1 lap and finished 12th in race 1. Now let's talk about race 2 here. Race 2 was held on Saturday night for us. Actually, Sunday early morning for them.
Yep.
J-Man Gisbergen led 26 laps from the pole, picked up his 32nd career pole, his 44th career win, and 121st career podium. Pure domination. I don't need to say more than that. Kim Waters started 4th, finished 2nd for his 22nd career podium. 3rd place went to Jamie Whincup. Now, J-Dub led 1 lap, started 2nd for his 254th career podium. Chas Mostert did lead 8 laps, a little bit, 1 lap better than he did in race 1, but 3rd place starting spot just kind of seemed to put him into subordination instead of domination in the start of the race, which meant that Chaz had to finish in the 4th spot outside the podium. I'm telling you, Chaz Mostert, I don't think he's won a race in 2020. He hasn't won a race yet for Waukesha Junior United, but that win is coming. Absolutely. It's on the way. 5th place under Heimgartner, much better result than race 1, 3 spots better. Nick Percat, 6th, so 6th place, 1 spot better than race 1. James Courtney, 2 spots better than race 1, 7th place. Scott Pye started 13th, finished 8th. Tim Slade started 12th, finished 9th. And Will Davison led 1 lap, started 7th, and rounded out the top 10 in race 2. Now let's move on to race 3 real quick. Just like race 2, Shane Van Gisbergen picked up his 33rd career pole, led 28 laps, and his 45th career win, 122nd career podium. Need I say more? Shane Van Gisbergen is now pulling away into a category of his own in the Supercars Championship. Brody Kostecki, though. Let's talk about Brody Kostecki for a minute. The driver who's in his first full season for Yerbis Motorsport utilized the rain, and I want to talk about the rain in just a minute here, but Brody Kostecki, who is part of a racing family, led 8 laps and picked up his best finish ever in the Supercars Championship of 2nd place, his first career podium after starting 7th, and seemed to be the only driver that could actually put a challenge for Shane Van Gisbergen. Of course, knowing SVG, it really didn't live long because Shane just picked up right away after pit cycles. But I definitely have learned a lot about who to look out for in the Supercars Championship this year, and Brody Kostecki is definitely one of them. How about David Reynolds? Reynolds picked up his 32nd career podium, his first podium in his 2021 campaign with the Kelly Grove Racing, team owned by Rick Kelly.
Yep.
Jamie Whincup 4th. Will Davison round out the top 5. 6th place went to Cam Waters. Waters seemed to have a little less luck than he did in the first 2 races. So no podium sweep for the Tickford Racing driver. Will Brown, 7th place, finished. Todd Hazelwood, 8th. Nick Percat, 9th. And Mark Witterbottom rounded out the top 10. So Frosty, top 10 in all the races. Let's move on to the standings here. Sorry, my camera's off. It just seems like I'm having some bad luck with the internet.
Yeah, I guess the internet's like, nope, Joseph, you're not allowed to have your camera on tonight.
At least maybe that's what I get for being solo last week, putting my internet to the ultimate test. All right, let's move on to the championship standings. So, like I mentioned, 5 races down. It's the Shane Van Gisbergen Series. The Kiwi is in no man's land. He's already extended the points lead to 65, but over Chaz Mostert. Chaz Mostert is 335 points at 2nd, 65 back from the leader. Mark Witterbottom 3rd.
What?
Oh, I'm reading off race 1. What? I knew something was on.
I was about to say.
I should have been on. It's 150 points between SVG and Jamie Whincup.
Yeah, it's
600 points flat. He's picked up as many points as possible.
600, 605.
605.
It's 100 to 455. So 150 points. I was about to say 400.
I knew something was wrong. Thanks for catching me, Justin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my first flaw of the night. 2nd place, Jamie Whincup. He's got 455 points. So that's 150. 450. Chaz Mostert is third with 442 points. Fourth place, Cam Waters with 435 points. And fifth place, Mark Winterbottom with 411 points. Now in the team's championship, Triple Eight Race Engineering with a Red Bull Ampol Racing team, Holden Racing team, 1,060 points so far. They are just gone. Waukesha Andretti United, second place with 725 points. Tickford Racing, third with 685 points. Team 18, fourth with 681 points. And fifth place, Kelly Grove Racing with 642 points.
Yep.
Should we be concerned about Dick Johnson Racing in their first season without Team Penske since 2014?
I don't know, because Will Davison's been doing decent, but there's some luck. Like some races, Di Pasquale's doing good, and some races he just has bad luck. So I don't know.
Right, mechanical problems that come to attention, like we saw Bathurst. But yeah, maybe they'll climb up to the front. In fact, there was some harsh criticism by the DJR fan base about the new roster, and Scott McLaughlin himself went on the internet and called out the fans making fun of the team's roster, saying stuff like they're soft or they just don't have anything. Scott McLaughlin called those idiots out and said that those people are sad.
Oh.
I think it's sad. I don't quote me on that, but I like to stay out of internet drama, but I know that Scott McLaughlin took exception to the hate that his team had. And speaking of hate, I love the campaign that Chaz Mostert's doing with the pink screen, hashtag no social hate. That's been a movement that Chaz Mostert's put together.
Yeah.
So I give lots of credit. Chaz Mostert is an absolute gentleman. He earned my respect and deserves your respect too. All right, so Supercars, they get 1 week off. They come back on the 10th and 11th of April for the Tasmania Supersprint.
That's actually 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Thanks for coming to me.
Yeah, that's the same week as the Martinsville weekend for Cup and yeah. So yeah, 2 weeks again till we see them again.
Yes, and that will be week 3 of 12 and rounds 6, 7, and 8 of the 31 race campaign. And yeah, the Tasmanian Super Sprint is another track that unfortunately had to be wiped off the schedule last year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So welcome back, Tasmanian Supercars fans. All right, let's get into endurance racing. Let's talk some endurance here. How about the show we saw in Central Florida? How about that, Justin? The 12 Hours of Sebring, the 2021 edition, the 69th running of the 12 Hours of Sebring, was the second race of the 2021 IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship season.
Yep.
And the second, so the 12 race championship, and the second of 4 races in the 4-race Michelin Endurance Cup Championship.
Yeah.
So yes, sports car racing, we haven't really covered too much endurance sports car racing since February when we last covered the Asia Le Mans series, but now the stars of sports car racing came back to Florida and put on a show. Let's discuss everything that happened. We'll go class by class and mention everything you need to know from the 12 Hours of Sebring. JDC Miller Motorsports Mustang Sampling Racing Cadillac DPI, car number 5, completed 349 laps in the 12-hour duration with the all-French lineup of world-class drivers, Tristan Vautier, Loic Duval, and Sébastien Bourdais. Sébastien Bourdais, the 4-time IndyCar champion, drove the wheels off that car in the closing hour.
Yep.
He's now a 2-time winner overall in the 12 Hours of Sebring. Should I mention how successful Sebastian Bourdais is in his long career, and he's coming back to IndyCar.
Yeah, he's going to be running for AJ Foyt.
Can he go for a 5th title? That would be very interesting indeed.
We'll just
In fact,
see.
Bourdais' first 4 titles were all consecutive. So just keep that in mind. And he's a very skilled driver.
It just depends about AJ Foyt's equipment because their equipment in years has not been good.
No.
But we'll have to see how he does.
Let's keep talking about the race, though. The 12 Hours of Sebring, we had Loic Duval put out some really good laps. And Tristan Vautier helped complete a very good lineup. And I think the fact that these 3 drivers come from France, they know each other well, they can speak the same language, it really does apply to success out there.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about the 12 Hours of Sebring is that 4 cars overall finished on the lead lap, were classified on the lead lap, 5, just less than 5.5 seconds apart.
Yeah.
A 12-hour race. That says a lot about competition.
Yeah, but there's also some controversy that happened.
We'll get into that later on when we go through the whole classes. But that was for the inner. So let's look forward downward at the podium positions here. Mazda Motorsports, last year's winner in what is likely to be their last race as a factory-supported program, with drivers John Bomarino, Oliver Jarvis, and Harry Ticknell finished second in the race. Now, they led for most of the closing stages, but the safety car really got in the way of their gap.
Yep.
Third place, the number 60, Meyershank Racing with Curb Agajanian.
Yep.
Acura ARX 05 Honda-powered DPI with Dane Cameron, Juan Pablo Montoya, Olivier Pla. Now, we didn't really see them too much in the early stages, unlike the 4th and 5th place finishers. 4th place went to the number 10, Konica Minolta, Wayne Taylor Racing Acura ARX 05 with the squad that won the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona in January. Felipe Albuquerque, Alexander Rossi, Ricky Taylor. And 5th place, we had Chip Ganassi Racing Cadillac number 01 with world-class drivers, Ringer Van der Zan, Kevin Magnussen, and Scott Dixon.
Yeah.
They were the first car to finish a lap or more down, 2 laps down, that is. Led most of the early stages. What did JDC's trio do that put them in victory?
They
on the top of the podium?
They had a good strategy, and also it helped that safety car. Remember that safety car with an hour for the stalled number 31 on the track and the fire in the pit lane by the BMW? That really helped them because that jumped them ahead of the Mazda number 55. And also, people forget, early in the race there was, remember the 5 car? They actually spun into the tire barriers. Them and the 31 made contact, and the 5 hit the barrier. They had not that much damage, so they nursed the car back to the pit lane, got the damage repaired, and still ended up finishing. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, by spinning out with the number 31 Cadillac into the
Action Express had, sorry to cut you off there, Justin, but Action Express, we thought they were going to be the favorites.
Woo. Yeah.
Both cars, and it just didn't seem to go their way. We'll discuss them later on because there was some controversy in the finishing order, and we'll move on. When we move on from the class results, we'll go back. So let's take a look at the other classes. There, we'll look at the top 5 in each one of them. Start with the LMP2 class, and it went to number 52, PR1 Matheson Racing with drivers Mikkel Jensen, Ben Keating, and Scott Huffaker. Scott Huffaker's drive was actually somewhat as competitive as Mikkel Jensen. Now, I've seen the Danish driver do the better part because you have to have, like, the class requires 3 different variants of a racing license, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But they had some competition, a lot of competition that was fizzled out by separate incidents. We'll explain all that later. Second place was Aero Motorsport, the team that has been so successful in the year of 2021, winning their class in the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona. And the drivers, by the way, were Kyle Tilley, Dwight Merriman, and Ryan Dalziel.
Yep.
They were perfect, literally perfect in the LMP2 AM class in the Asia Le Mans Series, thus getting a ticket to the 24 Hours of Le Mans this year. So take that into perspective. That's some good momentum to carry on. They finished second on the podium, the only two LMP2s on the same lead lap in the class, 6th and 7th overall. Third place in the LMP2 class. By the way, all cars were Orica 07s, before anybody asks. Well, why did you mention the Oricas? Yes, they're all Orica 07s.
Yeah.
No Liege Days, no Auroras, no Alpine. Third place, believe it or not, now this is where it gets a little tricky because there were two cars in the top 5 in class that were relegated to the back because of regulation basically because those teams violated regulation rules. Third place retired, but on the podium was the number 8 Tower Motorsports by Starworks Orca 07. Now, that car actually was retired many hours before the finish. Timothy Bure had a massive shunt into the tire walls, and the car rolled over and lost all the pieces.
Yep.
That was the end for them. But the cars that finished 4th and 5th in class number 11 win Autosport Orca 07 with Thomas Merrill, Tristan Nunez, Stephen Thomas, and the 37 United Autosports, or not 37, it's 37th overall, last overall, and car number 22, 5th in class, United Autosports with drivers Wayne Boyd, Jim McGuire, Guy Smith, also violated one of the rules. And if I'm going to trust Wikipedia on this. Wikipedia says the number 22 United Autosport entry was moved to the rear of the LMP2 classification for exceeding minimum skid block wear regulations. So there you go.
Interesting.
Let's move on to the next class, and that was the GTLM. When this could very well be the final 12 hours of Sebring with the LMGTE cars in a class of themselves. The number 79 WeatherTech Racing, provided by Proton Competition, Porsche 911 RSR 19 with drivers Matt Campbell, Matthew Jaminet, and Cooper McNeil. The Porsche factory squad was behind the wheel of the customer team-built Porsche, winning the LMGTE class. Now, that was a very wild one indeed. It looked like it was going to come down to BMW number 25, driven by Conor De Filippi, Philip and Bruno Spengler, and Corvette Racing number 3 of Nicky Katzberg, Jordan Taylor, and Antonio Garcia. Unfortunately, De Filippi and Garcia made contact in the closing minutes, and both of them ended up losing the class win, giving it wrapped up as a gift to WeatherTech Racing. That car finished 8th overall, completing 334 laps. The only car in class to finish on the lead lap, mind you, because I believe the 25 had a pit. So, yes, that is correct. Number 24, BMW Team RLL. Team, yes, owned by RLL. That is Ray Hall, Letterman Lanigan, David Letterman, Bobby Ray Hall. And the 24 car, John Edwards, Augusta Farfus, Jesse Krohn finished 3rd in class. So, class podium for 2 BMWs, but not the top step. 4th place and 5th place, as I mentioned, the Corvette Racing number 3, Chevrolet Corvette C8R, and 5th place Corvette Racing number 4, Tommy Milner, Alexander Sims, Nick Tandy, finished 5th in class. LMP3 winners finished 13th overall. This team has 2 drivers in their mid-50s that are businessmen and consider themselves to be gentlemen drivers on their off time.
Yep.
With a veteran and Colin Brown. So John Bennett and George Kurtz, the 2, I guess, senior drivers, just having fun, racing cars as a leisure. And Colin Brown, who is a very experienced sports car driver, brought the number 54 Core Autosport Ligier JSP320 to a class victory in the 12 hours of Sebring. I find that very impressive, if you ask me. 2nd place and 3rd place in the podium positions were the 2 Riley Motorsports entries.
Yeah.
the top 3 in LMP3 finished on the class lead lap, 329 laps to be exact. Riley Motorsports, number 91, Joram Blinkemolen, Jim Cox, Dylan Murray, yes, the son of David Murray, is in sports car racing now. And number 74, the car that won in class in the 24 Hours of Daytona, Scott Andrews, Spencer Piggott, and Gar Robinson. Both those cars were Ligier JSP 320s. Now, 4th place in class was the number 747 Motorsports car, Duquesne M30D08, driven by Stephen McAleer, Austin McCusker, and Oliver Askew. And 5th place, 17th overall, 5th in class, was the number 33 Sean Creech Motorsports Ligier JSP 320 with Joao Barbosa, Young Hilary, and Lance Wilsey. So that's the LMP3 class. One more category to to debrief before we debrief the controversy in the overall battle. Yeah. That is, of course, the GTD class, GT Daytona, the FIA Group GT3 cars class. How about this, Justin? Canadian team, yes, Justin. Pfaff Motorsports taking the win. Number 9, finishing 18th overall, 320 laps completed. Number 9, Pfaff Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3R with Lars Kern, Zachary Robicon, and Lawrence Van Tor. So you got some help from a factory driver, and it seemed like they were just in luck. I think this class had a lot of luck involved because many, it was the most competitive class, of course, but we saw a lot of comers and goers towards the end, and the safety cars had a lot to do with it. Penalties, we'll discuss all that. 2nd place, Porsche's top 2 steps in the class podium. Wright Motorsports, number 16, Jan Halen, Patrick Long, and Trent Hinman. Porsche 1 and 2. 3rd place, we had Aston Martin Racing, or Heart of Racing Team Aston Martin, number 23. Aston Martin Vantage AMR GT3, Ian James, Ross Gunn, Roman DeAngelis. 3rd place in class. 4th place, we had some gentleman drivers doing pretty well. Those drivers include Andy Lally, John Potter, and Spencer Propelli, 3 American sports car racing veterans. Number 44, Magnus Racing with Archangle Motorsports, Honda Acura NSX GT3 Evo. And 5th place was the number 88 Team Hardpoint EBM that finished 5th in, with the drivers Bia Figueiredo, Catherine Legg, and Christy Nielsen. And for a moment, we thought that team was going to possibly win in class. They had the right strategy going on until a penalty was given out in the final 30 minutes when Catherine Legg made contact with Eddie Lally's Acura. And the stewards gave a drive-through penalty to Catherine Legg. And the top 3 at the time were about less than a second apart. I believe the safety car came in, and it really allowed the Pfaff Porsche to pull away and win. I believe if you're a Porsche fan, you should be proud of what happened at Sebring. It really was a Porsche win across all the classes. Or the GT classes. If you're a fan of GT Porsches, that was your weekend. Now let's go back to the overall class DPIs. Number 48, Action Express Racing, Alley Cadillac Racing, finished the race 3rd physically with drivers Kamui Kobayashi, Jimmy Johnson, and Simon Pagino. Unfortunately, they were excluded from the podium result because of what?
They this is a rule in endurance racing. You cannot exceed the time limit in endurance racing. Simon Pagino, the limit for the 12-hour Sebring was 4 hours. Simon Pagino went 4 hours and 50 seconds.
Really? Is that close?
50 seconds over. And wow. Yeah, I
So he
remember.
probably was expecting to, make the pits. And
Yeah.
of course, we knew how fast Simon Pagenaud was driving in that car. Maybe not as fast as Kamui Kobayashi, but it was pretty close in the end.
But the thing is, then they're like, oh, they're not third anymore. They're seventh in class, 28th. They were placed 28th overall. Like, they got this. Yeah, they just got put back there. Like right as I saw them, I'm like, are you like 50 seconds? I'm like, I thought it was like,
The stewards are not joking when they say the rules are rules. The rules are rules.
Like, I thought a few minutes. Like, I thought, 4 hours and maybe a few minutes. I look, 50 seconds. Just 50 seconds. Yeah, then they penalized that team because of exceeding the limit. Yeah. It's sometimes interesting in sports cars. It's not like the old times, like...
No, back then you could do whatever you wanted. There was actually a case where even a few drivers even tried to do the 24 hours of Le Mans by themselves, just without a co-driver. Those days are done.
Well, once in Le Mans in 1950, there was a father and son. They were racing. There's just two drivers. The father ran 23 hours and 15 minutes. His son ran only 2 laps in the middle of the race. Yeah,
sounds like one of those what do you call them, myths?
Yeah, 23 hours 15 minutes by yourself driving.
I mean, listen, no one could last that long.
No, like you see during an endurance race, you see pit stops and drivers getting out after a while.
Right now, of course, drive time is regulated by the stewards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next race we'll have for the IMSA WeatherTech Championship will be on May 16th at the time of this video, which I'm putting that emphasis because it could change. The Mid Ohio Challenge, round 3 of 12, and the next endurance race at the time of this video will be on June 27th at the 6 hours of Watkins Glen for round 3 of 4.
Yep. Yeah, that's in a while from now.
All right, so I know we covered a lot of endurance sports car racing. I think we should keep that conversation alive. Usually we start off our race previews with NASCAR and all that, but I think we need to hold that off into another discussion. So let's keep the endurance sports car racing conversation going, because I want to keep NASCAR in its own category for a discussion, and same with Formula One as well. So let's discuss an endurance race that will be coming up this weekend. The Creventic 24H Series is back for the second time this year, first time since January in the Dubai 12 hours, and the first time since, as I mentioned, January in the Dubai 24. The 12 hours of Mugello for round 2 of 8.
Yeah.
Now I have the entry list here. It's Justin. Yeah, I'm looking for it. Yeah, thank you very much. I have the entry list in hand.
Yeah.
Unlike most endurance races, if you remember us covering, y'all remember us covering Creventic in the past, they have 2-part endurance races. So it's the 12 hours of Mugello won't be 12 hours from start to finish.
Yeah.
The race will be broken down into 2 parts. First part will be 6 hours long, I assume. The second part will be, I assume, 6 hours on Saturday. So Friday morning, our time, 9 a.m. start. And then everybody gets to go to sleep at the same time, wake up the next day on Saturday, our time zone, which for race 2 will be 5 a.m. on Saturday. Everybody, in terms of time intervals, stays the same between the first and second parts of a 2-part endurance race, according to Creventic rules. So let's say you have a 5-lap advantage over second place at the end of day 1. Day 2 starts, and you're still 5 laps ahead of second place at the start. That's just the example here. We have a lot of entries for this weekend. I mean, a lot of names I've never heard before. It just seems like we might have to make our estimated guesses based off travel restrictions, it seems like the teams were more successful in approaching this race rather than the factory drivers.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll make our predictions class by class. And by the way, the GT3 class, which is the main class, is broken down into Pro and AM. I only see AM cars. This entry list here was created at 23rd March 2021. Maybe that was like created just a few hours ago.
But the thing, but where is it based? Like, where is the 24H series based in? Because we're March 22nd, where
Europe.
Okay, because I was about to say it's like that one time that I don't know how. Once there was a document said it said 2 days in advance. I'm like, where did they get this date from? Like March 24th and it's March 22nd. Like, I've seen. Okay, just.
All right, I'm looking at the entry list of what we got now. We'll start with the GT3 AM class. So yes, unless the licensing regulations make someone a GT3 Pro, a GT3 AM car is probably going to win overall. Will we see a 991 class car win over this race overall? Probably not.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's not like a COVID makeup race like we had last year.
No.
We only had like 15 cars overall.
No,
class. No, that's not the case here.
No.
We have a lot of entries. All right, so we'll start with GT3 AM. I'm just looking at the predictions here. I'm just going to make a pick. I'm going to go with the guys that won this race last year, and also based off evidence from the Asia Le Mans series, the Renauer brothers, twin brothers, who are part of the Porsche factory squad and Herbert Motorsport, have been absolutely fantastic in the Asia Le Mans series. And last year, those guys actually won. Ralph Bohn, Daniel Aleman, Robert Renauer won the 12 Hours of Mugello last year, despite the very, very scarce competition. A win is a win. So I assume number 91, Herbert Motorsport Porsche 911 GT3R will win overall in the Hankook 12 Hours of Mugello.
Oh, not so fast, Joseph. They are in a Mercedes AMG team. This team is based out of the United States. The number 85 CP Racing entry, driven by Charles Putman,
yes,
Charles Espinlaub, Joe Foster, and Shane Lewis.
The Grand Am vibes are there. All of those drivers are in their 50s. And I remember in the Dubai 24 Hours, that car led most of the class, of the racing class, and until it spin and they basically got barreled down. But I would love to see those guys win a race, just to see gentleman drivers having fun, winning. That would be a fun story to cover. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the other classes and just go GTX class. So basically, that's the custom-built experimental GT cars, close in relation to their GT counterparts, but custom-built, so different regulations, kind of more open. We've seen the Vortex V8. It's got 2 cars this time around.
Yep.
We may see this class be competitive towards the start. Hopefully they don't finish laps apart like they did Dubai, but we might see something different here with a 2-part race and everybody being, awake at the same time.
Yeah.
All right, so I think I know who I have for the GTX class, and that will be the number 710 Lippert Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo with Ray Calvin, Gabriele Rendoni, and Matthias Hofsmer.
Okay, my pick is the number 724 Reiter Engineering KTM, driven by Ike Angermeyer, Nikolai Elgahanayan, Horst Febelmeyer Jr., and Mads Schleichhog.
So you got 4 men versus 3 men. We'll see how that goes. So you have a KTM Crossbow. I love the KTM Crossbow, especially when they race in the GT series, because that's a motorcycle brand. It's just not their playground.
Yeah.
All right, let's now move on to the 991 Cup class, and we have a lot of entries here. So if you're not familiar with the Porsche 991 Cup car, it's a one-make class. So everybody has the same car in the same spec. It's a one-make spec class.
Yep.
And we have a lot more entries than I believe, than the Dubai 24 hours. But here's the thing. I don't see too many familiar names in the Porsche camp that are there. So I'm going to make my prediction in the Porsche 991 Cup class. And I believe that if you want to win a race, why not just have two drivers? The dual race number 918 Porsche with just two drivers, Steven Licorice and Eric Moyes.
Okay. My pick is the number 969 GDL Racing entry driven by Roberto Ranieri, Gianluca De Lorenzi, Maurizio Frati, and Giacomo Gisbergen.
So yeah, I guess you need four drivers, Justin. With that with that language. All right, let's move on to the GT4 class.
Only two. Only two.
That's kind of a bummer because usually the GT4 class would bring some good battles, and I love GT4 racing. You see in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, for example, but I just think the lack of presence here may bring it down to two cars. Who do you have winning this thing?
I have the number 438 ST Racing BMW driven by Samantha Tan, Chandler Hull, and John Miller.
I knew you were going to go with them. I'm just going to go with the same car as well because they won the 24 Hours of Dubai in a much broader class than this. Samantha Tan, the owner driver, Chandler Hull, John Miller. In fact, these are BMW drivers. I saw Chandler Hull and John Miller in the Asia Le Mans series working with Nicky Katzberg.
Yeah.
That means we might see those guys in the future.
Like, I'm literally just looking through, like, I feel like they're going to, even with three drivers, I feel like they're going to beat the other car, which has 5 drivers in the 412, which is an interesting number of drivers.
Yeah, Porsche Cayman versus a BMW M4 GT4, and we'll see how that turns out. That's it for the GT divisions. Now let's move over to the TCE division. So the 24H Series TC touring car classes, starting with the TCR class, the FIA World Touring Car Championship regulations. This class usually brings up good show. What do you got for this one?
Okay, my pick is the number 108 RC2 Junior team by Cabra Racing, driven by Ruben Fernandez, Victor Fernandez, and Felipe Fernandez.
So you got the Copra. You have the whole Spanish squad here, all brothers. Number 108. So yeah, Coopers have been pretty successful lately in the 24H series. Now I know I usually pick the Volkswagen Golfs that show up, but I kind of like what I've seen lately from the number 101 Red Campbell Jordan's Dutch squad, the Cooper TCR DSG with the Emil Breukers and Rick Breukers that have definitely been strong. Now, I might be wrong here. I know that Auto Drama Racing by Wolf Power Racing usually do the better usually do the better job out there. I might be wrong. We'll have to see. It's going to be an interesting race in the TCE division, especially the TCR class. Let's move over to the customizable bring what you brung vibe of the TCX class for touring cars. CWS Engineering looks very interesting to me, but I feel like they're going to have more competition this time around. What do you say, Justin?
Okay, I got my pick already. My pick's the number 205 Lotus PB Racing Lotus, driven by Dennis Bonvini, Luca Flaccadori, Franco Nespoli, Maurizio Fortina, and Alberto Grisi.
All right, I'm going to go in the TCX class with, I think I'm just going to stay comfortable with my pick here, the number 278 CWS Engineering with driver in his mid-60s and owner, Colin White, John Francis Bruno, and James Kell, driving a Jetta G55. I think they're going to be very successful.
And there's only one class left, but there's only one car in the
Yes.
TC division.
The regulation, I believe unless that's a typo, the TC division would be the number 351 Team of the Soaring Run Sport BMW M40 Racing Cup with Ricardo Flores, Gian Vito Rossi, and Pier Luigi Alessandri. So Italian drivers and German team. Unless that's a typo and they're in the TCX class, then I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case.
But that's just weird, the flag for Ricardo Flores. It's just an X. I guess they forgot to put his flag. It's just an X.
I can tell that's a typo.
And also just an X, that's not a real flag, just an X. A red X is not a flag. No, you only see an X on a computer it's not a flag.
All right, so I think we're going to have an interesting race, the 24H series, even if this is a two-part show. So, yeah, part one, I believe it's 9 a.m. Eastern time, U.S. local time on YouTube. The Forensic airs their races live on YouTube. And then part two would be at 5 a.m. Eastern time. So I assume it's 6 and 6 hours. In fact, qualifying and practice are all going to be held on the same day, on the morning of part one of the race. So better get your game on or you're going to be missing out. You'll be really behind really fast. All right, that's it for endurance sports car racing. Let's move on to NASCAR. For the first time, and I can't almost smile back anymore, for the first time since 1970, the NASCAR Cup Series will hold a race on dirt at Bristol Motor Speedway for round 7 of the 2021 championship. NASCAR Fox was in line when they said this is going to be the best season ever, Justin.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. They haven't the Cup Series hasn't raced on dirt in almost 51 years, and these cars have changed since then. And also, there's some drivers that's never ran on dirt at all racing in this. It's going to be interesting because you're talking about Bristol Motor Speedway. Most teams we know Bristol, but not on dirt. They know the paved Bristol, but not on dirt. It's different, really different.
This is, I guess, the first unique event in the 2021 calendar. 7 races in, and we will probably find a 7th different winner, especially with the nature of this race. Since there are 39 cars, Justin, there will be 39 cars. All of them will start on the race. So we don't have to make predictions of who's going to win if they're going to make the race. That's not on the table. Everybody's in.
But for Cup, but for trucks,
that truck race will be a different story.
Yeah, they have 2 minutes. There's because there's only 39 entered for Cup. Xfinity has 44. Not Xfinity.
The Xfinity Series is off.
But the trucks have 44 cars, which 44 is quite a lot. Just saying, 44.
Yeah. Let's stick to Cup here. So, talk to me about what us fans should expect for the structure of the Bristol Dirt Race. As I look through the entry list and try to comprehend what to expect for something that's never happened before.
For me, Cup, for me, I know who's in the race. All the Cup drivers, the drivers in the Cup race are known. Trucks, there's every entry is known except the 83 truck, which has a TBA driver to be known. I know Jayski says that the 66 is unknown for Cup, but it was announced Mike Marlar's driving that 66 car.
Yes, Mike Marlar is a dirt track veteran.
Yep.
Also, we don't really know the speeds of the faster cars versus the slower cars on this dirt track because we've never seen yet. But how many heat races will there be? If there, I guess there will be 9 heat races, or 9 cars in each heat race, or 9 or 10 for the series.
Yeah, because there's 4 heat races. That's how they start. That's how.
So yeah.
And it's a random draw for the heat, so you might have a bad
No single car qualifying to set the heat grid.
Nope, it's just a draw, so you might have a back marker start.
Is it a metric draw or is it just a draw?
I don't know. If it's a random draw, that'll be bad. Like example, Cody Ware starting on pole in one of the heats. Because I don't know how they're gonna set the heat lineups. I know it's a draw, but I don't know what sort of draw. If it's a random draw
lately in NASCAR.
And people are complaining about always Denny Hamlin starting on pole. People keep complaining because Hamlin's not won. But the thing is, it's like I get the metric qualifying, like that lap.
If they implemented, I would understand.
Yeah, but having a random draw is not the best thing. If slow cars are ahead of the front guys,
how will that impact the race? We don't know. But what we do know is that. But there are some drivers that we've kept track of on their dirt track careers that have been successful. Of course, Kyle Larson. Of course, Christopher Bell. Of course, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Of course, Stuart Friesen. Let's put in another name. Ryan Newman. What about Chase Briscoe? There you go.
These dirt guys.
Don't forget Tyler Reddick came from dirt as well. Oh, Danny's here. Danny. Hello.
What's going on, guys? Sorry, I'm a little bit late.
Yes, we're just in the midst of talking about the Bristol dirt race for the NASCAR Cup Series.
Ooh, this should be really fun.
Yep. Since 39 cars are on the entry list, everybody will make the race. However, it'll still be the heat racing qualifying format that we'll see. And that, if I'm not mistaken, Justin, will be taking place on Saturday.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Saturday before the truck race starts. After the
race
is on Sunday. Yeah,
so
it's like
heat races.
Yep, for the qualifying procedure for Bristol.
This should be very exciting.
Yep.
Big time. The heat races will be 15 laps or 10 laps. I got to turn my camera off. My quality's going bad again. But yeah, the heat races are 10 laps in length. Caution laps don't count. That's what I meant. What else do I need to note about the Bristol Dirt Race? Nothing, because it's never happened before.
Yeah, so we don't have stats. So you don't have,
all right.
So I don't have to look at stats like every race. Nope. Today I'm like, we don't know.
Nope. This is cold turkey NASCAR, and we've seen a lot of cold turkey NASCAR in the last year and a half. All right. Let's make predictions. The winner of the first NASCAR Cup Series race on dirt in over 50 years is... Drum roll, please. If there even is drums. Okay, there you go.
Who is it, Joseph?
Oh, I'm the one that's going to go in the water first. All right. Yes, you can stop drumming.
Okay.
I'm going to be the most obvious pick. Christopher Bell.
Oh!
Yeah, I knew I had to make a little curveball in there. Christopher Bell's going to win this race.
Not so fast, Joseph. My pick, this driver. He has 0 wins in the Cup Series to date because it's only his first season. Driver of the number 14, Chase Briscoe is going to win at the dirt race at Bristol.
Danny, it's your turn. Time to come clean. I need to hear your pick for the first dirt race in 50 years. Let's if he's in there. He might be AFK. Oh, Danny says I'm back. I'm gonna have dinner. All right. Well, looks like dinner has won the race. Let's move to the series, please. All right. We'll go back to the trucks, to the Cup predictions when Danny comes back, if he comes back. Because, yes, we still have to cover Formula One before the end of this podcast. I can't get out of here just yet. So let's talk some trucks. It's going to be a little bit different getting into the race compared to the Cup Series here with 44 entries for what is, I guess, 40 spots. I guess they upped the number from 36 to 40, which I think is a good move by NASCAR. If it stays that way, 4 drivers will go home, and I'm sure one of those 4 drivers would be very competitive had they not be DNQ'd out. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be just like the way Daytona turned out. Someone competitively will not make the race. Let me get that out of the way. Justin.
Yeah.
So looking as if all the 44 entries will be in the race successfully, who will win the first NASCAR Truck Series race at Bristol on the dirt?
Okay. My pick, this driver, he has 2 career wins to his name. One of them is on dirt. Driver of the number 52, Stuart Friesen, is going to win at the dirt race at Bristol.
Oh, Canada. All right. I knew I was thinking about Stuart Friesen right before you stole from me. So now to be that guy, because I will be that guy, I'm gonna have to make a different prediction. Stuart Friesen, he will be competitive. Let's not deny that, and especially thinking about the idea of bringing his wife to the race as well. It's just her Truck Series debut for her husband's team. So I guess that's double trouble. Let's move on to another driver that I think has been very, very underrated on dirt ovals, but he is so good in dirt, but off-road. He won the championship last year in the Truck Series.
Okay.
And that, of course, GMS Racing's Sheldon Creed. How would you deny Sheldon Creed? He's just that kind of driver who takes no prisoners, no matter what surface, no matter how many jumps, no matter how many bumps the road has. Sheldon Creed is the showstopper, and he always comes out on top. Let's throw in some more names, though, because we have a lot of Cup Series cameo appearances that will be in there. How could we deny Kyle Larson? How could we deny Ryan Newman? These are dirt track aces here. What about Kevin Harvick's Truck Series return for the first time in who knows how long? About 5 years? What about Bubba Wallace, the 2014 Eldora Speedway winner? I forgot to mention Kyle Larson won that very same race 2 years later. What about Hailie Deegan, who won the NASCAR West Series race at Las Vegas on the dirt? What about another driver? Tate Fogelman is a dirt track sprint car driver.
Yep.
Have I forgotten somebody? Yes, I probably forgot the fact that Matt Crafton won at Eldora in 2018. 2017, I meant. Whom have I forgot that might be a factor in this one? I know there'll be more. What about Tanner Gray? Tanner Gray is a very rare breed of a driver.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to look real far to find a driver in the history of motorsports that could go from drag racing down a straight line at 300 plus miles per hour in a 1v1 fashion to racing on oval and for hours in a stock car. If we're going to find true versatility here, yes, I would say Sheldon Creed, but what about Tanner Gray? If he somehow wins this race, makes it and wins it, we'll see possibly one of the greatest drivers of all time. I mean, I'm not going to lie and just be all hypothetical like that, but I'm just saying how it is. Chase Briscoe will also be in the race, by the way. Will we see a driver sweep the weekend? That's another question up in the air.
I don't know. Because Larson's driving for Nice Motorsports. There's some teams in there like Ryan Newman's driving for a first team. Harvick is driving for a decent team also with David Gilliland Racing. But there's some drivers that are driving for
This race is going to be awesome. I can't stop. I can't stop the smile. It's like stardom. This is like a fantasy dream come true. A fantasy that you would create by yourself on the game NR 2003. Something that would only happen in a utopia is coming true this weekend. If anybody said 10 years ago that we'll see a NASCAR Cup race on dirt, that person would be laughed at.
Yeah.
Called crazy.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's going to be a reality in 5 days.
And also, Pete, I want to say to get that hype up, there's on Wednesday and 2 nights from now, there's an iRacing Pro Invitational event. Wednesday night on FS1 after Race Hub at the Bristol Dirt Race, which that's going to be interesting also. I know it's iRacing, but just that's going to get the hype up. I guess that Jeff Gordon and Clint Boyer are going to be also in that. I guess, no, not Jeff Gordon, but Clint Boyer is going to be in that iRacing event on Wednesday night.
Oh, those two will be spectacular.
Like, it's just like, yeah, like Bristol Dirt's going to be interesting. I know people are like, no, I want regular Bristol. You got to wait till.
Or a regular dirt track, which is still a valid argument.
Yeah. But like regular Bristol, you'll see regular Bristol back
we'll get that later
in September. Yeah, during the playoffs. But right now we gotta wait for that.
I think this is creativity at its best, and that's what NASCAR really wanted. Especially last year, the original 2020 schedule was even very creative in just the language of NASCAR's scheduling. I mean, we've never seen a doubleheader ever before. Pocono was the first one.
Yeah,
pandemic or not, I'm just talking pre-pandemic here.
Yeah.
The season ending very early, I think that was a pretty good plus. NASCAR learned a lot, even with the pandemic, even without the pandemic. And now the 2021 schedule is here. It's a reality, and the fans are going to get a treat. I think we're all going to have a blast.
Yeah, like us fans, like we want other tracks than just ovals, but there's all the older generations. They're like only ovals. Road courses suck and dirt sucks. Oh my! For me, I don't like. For me, ovals.
I think I like a little of everything. You know.
Yeah, because like
that's what the season's really all about.
Yeah, like after a while, you get bored of turning left. Like to be honest, I get kind of
the NASCAR stereotype. You just blew it right there. NASCAR's go left.
Yeah, it's like after a while, I don't want to always turn left. Like the first road course for the Cup Series is all the way. The second road course for them, May, the weekend of May 22nd, 23rd at COTA. So you got to
that race. I have a feeling that race is going to happen. You know, just by going off the COVID situation. Texas is 100% open.
Yeah.
So I think we might get maybe the first race with the sold-out crowd. I don't know. No, Dakota's too big for that. They probably wouldn't sell all parts of the track, but probably the largest attendance all season might be COTA. We might have so far. Circuit of the Americas. I can't wait for that too. I'm a huge fan of that circuit. Yes, Herman Tilke designed it. It's a Tilke track, but in the end, we're gonna have some awesome racing. We already had some awesome racing. And it's going to get better from here on out. And we might see some unforeseen circumstances in the NASCAR playoffs. We got 6 for 6.
Yeah.
These tracks are usually where we find the first 2-time winner of the season. Okay, like last year, we went 4 races. I already got the first 2-time winner, Joey Logano. 2 years ago, was it Brad Keselowski? Who was the first 2-time winner? No, it was Kyle Busch. 3 years ago, Kevin Harvick. Kevin Harvick was on a tear.
Yeah,
3 races in a row. Stewart-Haas Racing as a whole. I'm afraid Stewart-Haas Racing has been relegated in my book as the second best Ford factory team.
Yeah, it's also like they're trying to get Chase Briscoe up to speed and stuff, but then Harvick has sometimes some mistakes. Custer has had issues too with some races. And Almirola sometimes just has issues too. But they're trying to and their Xfinity side's not that Riley Herb sometimes does good. He got he got a better finish this time at Atlanta.
He always gets a better finish than he has last week. That's Riley Herbst for you.
But the week before at Phoenix, he kind of lucked into that position because that wreck that people were starting to wreck. He avoided that. But there's some races like the Daytona Road Course for Riley Herbst. Instead of staying on the track like most people do, nope, drive through the grass and destroy the car. Yeah.
All right. Since Danny is eating dinner, we're going to. Oh, you're here. Yes, you're here, Danny.
I'm back.
All right. We were just about to start talking about Formula One, but we're going to hold off. We're going to pump the brakes there real quick and hear your predictions for the Cup race at Bristol on dirt. I put the link of the entry listed in the private chat, as well as the truck race.
Listen, I have 3 drivers in mind: Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Larson, and Bubba Wallace. These 3 drivers come to mind. All right, so I've got Kyle Larson as the heavy favorite, man. The guy's come from a dirt racing background. He's obviously got a shot to win at Bristol.
He's the default pick by everyone.
Absolutely, he is the default pick by everyone.
Fantasy, pick Kyle Larson. You want to stay safe, pick Larson. If you don't want to spend everything on a fantasy prediction, then maybe pick Chase Briscoe. What about the truck race? Now, the truck race might be a little bit different with the fact that there'll be some DNQs after their heats, but let's just look full picture here. Who do you think is going to win the truck race on Saturday?
Oh, man. Who is great on dirt when it comes to truck racing? And
what about all the Cup drivers that are in the race?
Oh, man. You know what? I'm going to have to go with Kevin Harvick winning that race.
Kevin Harvick. Okay, yeah. Kevin Harvick. That's going to be interesting. Now, granted, Kyle Larson might just sweep the weekend, but it's going to be a blast. I know. I can't stop grinning over the fact that in my lifetime, I will witness a NASCAR Cup race on dirt. Something that hasn't happened since 1970 at Raleigh, North Carolina.
It's absolutely amazing.
Boy, times have changed.
Yeah.
It's a half a century of waiting. Okay, the Truck Series, however, they did make their first dirt track appearance at Eldora Speedway in Rossburg, Ohio in 2013. You can thank Tony Stewart for that. From 2013 to 2019, this is the first season the trucks will have more than one dirt race a year and do more than one dirt facility. They'll run at Bristol Dirt, and then later on the season, they'll run at Knoxville, Iowa, home of the famous Knoxville Nationals later this season. So at least, kind of get a grip with the Truck Series or teams and just the way truck races have work on the dirt. But that's for the Cup Series. It's going to be a blast. All right, let's move on to Formula One. The 72nd World Championship is about to begin in what is currently a 23-round tour of the FIA Formula One World Championship, the highest level of single-seating racing, is about to begin in Bahrain. Now, I made a mock final standings for both the World Drivers and World Constructors Championships, but I don't think I should give it away. What I will give away is that World Racing Media will have a Formula One show. 5 Lights F1 will begin coming soon. So if you want your weekly F1 discussions, if you want your weekly F1 reviews and hot takes and everything, make sure to keep an eye on 5 Lights F1 coming out very soon, sometime between now and the end of March. Keep an eye on that. But
to be told, I am really excited. Now it's breaking news for me, and I can't wait to hear. I can't wait for the hot topics, man.
oh yeah, and we're gonna have some hot topics right here, of course, as well in the podcast. But the Bahrain Grand Prix is host of what is currently a 23 race World Championship, and I'm saying currently because with the situation that's going on around the world, the obvious pandemic,
Yeah,
and the travel pluses and minuses that vary from country to country and region to region, seemed like F1 has still yet a few barriers to cross. Those barriers include crossing the Atlantic Ocean and going to the Asia Pacific region. They have not gone any more east than the Middle East last year or since before the start of the COVID pandemic.
right.
They have not raced in Asia Pacific or Australia at all during the pandemic times. They have never crossed over and raced in any of the Americas during pandemic times. Those barriers will somehow or some way need to be broken in order to really find a grip on whether or not we'll see the schedule stay the same. We haven't seen a street circuit, a full-out dedicated street circuit, other than Sochi, which is a semi-street circuit during COVID times. Now, Sochi is a different situation. Fans were allowed. It seemed very normal over there, or like normal times over there.
Right.
We don't know the situation in Great Britain. It's a little bit different. And whether you're ready or not, we will have a Saudi Arabian Grand Prix on the 5th of December. All in all, 23 races. There should be a lot to really break down. There is a few weeks in between the first race and the second race. The Bahrain Grand Prix, of course, this weekend. Then at Imola, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. The Portuguese Grand Prix returns to Portimao on May 2nd. The Spanish Grand Prix, May 9th in Barcelona, Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Then the Monaco Grand Prix returns for the first time since 2019. It looks like Monaco is going to happen. There are a lot of pictures being taken at the streets where the street circuit happens.
Right.
Monaco makes a lot from the Grand Prix. I don't think Monte Carlo City would allow another year to go by without the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
And I see hints from like local fans that there will be a Monaco Grand Prix. So keep your hopes up. The Azerbaijan Grand Prix is scheduled for June 6th. That's round 6 of the season. Baku was taken off last year, and we know about the situation that was going on in Azerbaijan last year that may or may not affect the status of the Grand Prix being held at its date. Now, granted, we still don't know how street circuits will work. Baku will be might be one of the more challenging dates.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that. Round 7, I think, will be a very big challenge. Like it or not, or not say like it or not, ready or not, the Canadian Grand Prix is supposed to be held on June 13th. Whether Canada is ready for that or not, that still lies in the hands of the function of Canada. I don't know how, Justin, you tell me, because I mean, listen, at least it's a closed circuit. So if for some reason there can't be fans there, and I haven't seen fans at any of the Canadian teams in the NHL.
No.
The CFL is outright canceled.
Like the thing about what's going on in Canada, not everybody's got their vaccines yet, which is a thing over here. Because we're still waiting shipments from the United States that haven't come yet. I guess something with the government in the U.S. is like kind of delayed, and they're trying to ship it out, but it's delayed. So something, and also they're currently vaccinating the older people and healthcare workers and school teachers, and then they're going also by age group. So they're doing like people in their 80s. which I'm not part of that, obviously. I'm not part of 80 years old, no. I'm in the last group. So I got to wait till Canada hopes to have everyone vaccinated between July and August.
Well,
Because it's just we're waiting on doses to come and it delays and
one of my favorite circuits is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. I would hate to see that area, and especially the fan base, go another year without a Canadian Grand Prix.
That would be very detrimental.
I'm still upset that they stopped holding the NASCAR Xfinity Series there.
Yeah,
but that's for another discussion. Either way, and I have to remind you, there has not been a trip to the American across over the Atlantic during COVID times for a Grand Prix yet. That barrier might be broken on June. The earlier, the better. I hope there'll be some exceptions made. And let's not forget the situation between the borders of the U.S. and Canada are still pretty more closed than open. And that, lays some more concern of the standing of travel. With that out of the way, let's move on to some of the other Grand Prix. After that, a trip back to Europe. I think it's a 2-week break from the 13th of June to the 27th of June.
Right.
To the French Grand Prix in Le Castellet. I think the French Grand Prix will go this year. Le Castellet has been a very open track, one of the first few tracks in sports car racing to open up again during COVID times, especially the European Le Mans Series, for example.
Well, the fans are not going to like that because
that's not gonna be.
What about the fans? That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the big problem.
Most of the fans from the French Grand Prix I know in 2019 were most of the people that went to the 24 Hours of Le Mans just a week prior. So put that into perspective. The 24 Hours of Le Mans is no longer on June 13th. It's now in the middle of August or towards the end of August. And hey, and if the F1 calendar stays exactly the same from now till then on August 21st, their drivers could race into the Le Mans 24 hours. But I'm saying, that's probably not going to happen. We might see some changes. The Austrian Grand Prix on July 4th, I see that happening.
Yes.
Remember, they were the first circuit to host a Grand Prix since the pandemic stopped everything. It hosted 2 Grand Prix, to be exact.
Yep.
The British Grand Prix at Silverstone, if this were last year, Great Britain was actually one of the first few countries to reopen since the pandemic in Europe started in Europe. But now they're probably the most closed country in all of Europe. They're having trouble with the vaccines. I wrote a paper about it. I don't want to bash anybody in particular. I'm not here to talk politics, but I'm just trying to, put things into perspective here. I don't see the British Grand Prix staying. Now, the target date, I believe, is for the British regulations to be relaxed is at least by June 21st. The Grand Prix,
July 16th to 18th that weekend. July 18th.
I know a lot of fans from the UK that sorely missed the British Grand Prix. Now, Hungaroring, I think that might happen August 1st. We might be in a better time, in a better world then. I hope that's the case. The Belgian Grand Prix, August 29th, round 12. The Dutch Grand Prix. Now, last year we were going to see the return to Zandvoort. Unfortunately, that was taken off September 5th. Zandvoort was replaced by many series in their respective calendars.
Yeah.
The the Italian Grand Prix at Monza, I kind of see that happening around 14.
Then it's Russia.
Russia, I definitely see happening. They were actually, I think, one of the first, if not the first race to have paying spectators back. And I think the Russian Grand Prix had the largest capacity of all the Grand Prix last year.
Then round 16, the week after, October 3rd, Singapore. The Singapore Grand Prix. That's I really don't know about Singapore, how it's going over there.
No, they were actually one of the more. See, it seems like the Asian countries, like around Japan, China, even Singapore, Thailand have been very, very strict on the restrictions. In fact, they were actually some of the first few countries to be exposed to the virus before it became a pandemic. So, like, the ties between country to country, I assume, led to the intense restrictions. But we're talking about October 3rd here. I don't know what's going on in Singapore, but what I do know is this is a street circuit here.
Yeah.
Street circuits are going to be very difficult to hold a Grand Prix. Singapore, unfortunately, had to pull out last year.
Yep.
But we'll see how things go. It's more of a we'll see situation. Now, the Japanese Grand Prix is on the 17th. Or the 10th of October, around 17 of 23. Suzuka is a closed circuit. Now, unfortunately, last year the Grand Prix was a no-go, but I think it might work out just by seeing that the Super GT Championship used a lot of spent a lot of time at Fuji and Suzuka. Maybe it'll stay like that. We'll have to see. And then they make the trip, their America Tour, from round 18 to round 20. The U.S. Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, October 24th.
I believe Austin is a great location for hosting a Grand Prix. You know, they're one of the very few states at the time of this podcast to have no face mask mandates, 100%. So if you want to own a store right now and you don't want to have a mask mandate anymore, you are perfectly legal to do that.
Yeah.
And the Texas Rangers Major League Baseball franchise are planning to hold 100% fan capacity by the start of the new MLB season, which starts in less than 2 weeks' time.
Yep.
That tells me, and especially with NASCAR coming to COTA, we'll probably have the highest attendance numbers at COTA unless things change.
Yeah.
I expect the U.S. Grand Prix to happen one way or another.
Okay.
They'll help fans. It will work.
Okay, then we go the next week, round 19 on October 31st, Mexico is round 19 of 23. Yeah.
Mexico City. Well, I know I've been following some. I don't follow soccer, but I like to leave the TV on FS1 sometimes. The CONCACAF Olympic qualifying is being held. It's hosted in Jalisco, Mexico, in Akron Stadium. So I just want you to understand that if they're open to holding, sporting events, and by the way, I noticed that there is like a partial capacity in the grandstands of those soccer matches that I've been watching. So that tells me that maybe Mexico City will hold some fans if the race were to happen. That track is actually a closed circuit. It looks like a street circuit from the outside, but it's actually a closed circuit.
Yeah,
I think that will mean something.
Okay, round 20. Next race, round 20, November 7th, Brazil. Brazil, round number 20 of the season.
Interlagos is one of my favorite tracks. I would hate to see that circuit go without another race.
Yeah, same here.
We'll see what happens in Sao Paulo on the 7th of November. And you know what? Brazil has been pretty strict with the whole travel situation. I'm not an expert on that, but that's what I hear more often than not. Round 21 was supposed to be the start of the World Championship. The Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park Circuit in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia was moved from round 1 all the way to round 21 on the 21st of November. This track is a hybrid between a street circuit and a closed circuit, but it uses a street circuit in the process. Will that race fly? Here's my take. We cover supercars in Australia. A few races were held in the city. I believe Townsville was one of them. I think Newcastle. I can't remember entirely, but there were
Newcastle, Townsville, and Surfers Paradise.
Oh, Surfers Paradise this year. Surfers Paradise took off last year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. I remember.
Yeah. here's what I know. Australia has been actually one of the more active countries. However, they have the very, very, very strict travel policies. To get in and out of the country, you have to quarantine for over a week and a half. You have to seek approval, special permission to get on a flight out of the country or to get on a flight into the country. The travel restrictions got the better of Formula One, and the FIA had to remove the original date of the Australian Grand Prix, and they put it all the way down to one of the latter halves of the race. And now we see the Australian Grand Prix hold closing races of this season.
Yeah.
Years past. I hope it stays. It's one of my favorite race weekends of all time, especially with the supercars.
Supercars, yes.
Gosh, I always get giddy about the Australian Grand Prix. And last year, it just pained me to see the world go down in flames like that. But maybe I think the door is open. We'll have to see. But also, the only other problem is the fact that it's in Victoria. And Victoria has been a very difficult place to live during the pandemic. It seemed like everybody else is up and running, but then Victoria was the odd state out. And it was so bad. Teams based in Victoria had to literally emergency relocate, like as if they were evacuating from a hurricane in Florida. It was that bad.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, like Australia, which is November. Then you go 2 weeks after that. December 5th, Saudi Arabia, round 22 out of 23.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I want to make it very brief and quick because, politics is not why we're here. But the Formula E Championship began at the Ridia circuit for the Adria E Prix that started the Formula E World Championship just a little more than a month ago.
Right.
No, actually less than a month ago.
Less than a month ago.
Yeah.
Held the doubleheader. No fans, and it was a street circuit, mind you.
Yep.
Now, a little smaller, of course, different than the Jeddah street circuit, but the problem here might lie in the hands of the teams, the drivers. Will they agree to this or disagree? And if the teams that decide, yes, it will be a suitable venue for a Grand Prix, how many will show up? Will there be fans? What will the world look like by then? We'll have to see. And honestly, the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix is really will really lead to a discussion that I really don't have the energy for right now. So let's move on to round 23 of 23. And as of now, the planned finale of the Grand Prix of the Formula One World Championship, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, Yas Marina Circuit. I see that race happening. No question. Maybe even with fans this time around.
Yeah.
The UAE has been very friendly to motorsport. In fact, open.
Yeah.
You hold a championship that's supposed to be raced in Asia, come on in.
Yeah.
Got 2 circuits for you. They held the Asia Le Mans Series championship in the UAE, the entirety. That tells me that we'll have the Grand Prix at Abu Dhabi there to close the season at least, or even if it ran next weekend, I would count on it going well, with or without fans. But let's move on to this weekend. We have the new World Championship. We have 20 drivers, 10 teams, 10 constructors, supposedly 23 races, and it all starts on Sunday.
Yep. Jeez.
Let's take a look at some of the history of the Bahrain Grand Prix, shall we? Now, I mentioned controversy within the location, and of course there hasn't been any. This race hasn't been shy of controversy, but let's move on and talk about the history of the race. So in 2004, Michael Schumacher became the first driver to win the Bahrain Grand Prix in his dominant Ferrari F2004.
Oh,
last year, Lewis Hamilton won the Bahrain Grand Prix, and it was actually one of the closing races of the World Championship. He already locked up the title then.
Yeah.
Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, 2 active drivers, lead the most wins count with 4 wins. So Vettel won his 2 with Red Bull, the other 2 with Ferrari, 2012, 2013, 2017, 2018. Lewis Hamilton won all 4 Bahrain Grand Prix with Mercedes.
Yep.
2014, 2015, 2019, and last year. Fernando Alonso won 2 Bahrain Grand Prix with Renault, and 2010 with Ferrari. And Felipe Massa won both his Bahrain Grand Prix with Ferrari. So let's look at the repeat winners in constructors. Ferrari leads that list 6 times. So Michael Schumacher, 2004, 2007, and 2008, Felipe Massa. 2010, Sebastian.
Fernando.
No, Fernando Alonso.
I was about to say
Sebastian Alonso.
Sebastian Alonso. I was about to say, okay, new driver.
Sebastian Vettel, 2017, 2018. Back when I had hopes in him winning a world championship. As a Vettel fan, I have a lot of pain saying that.
I was about to say Sebastian Alonso. Is that okay? Maybe Fernando Alonso's son?
No. All right. Mercedes won the Bahrain Grand Prix 5 different times. Lewis Hamilton, 2014, 2015. Nico Rosberg, who went on to win the world championship in 2016, and Lewis Hamilton in the last 2 years. Renault won both their races with Fernando Alonso, 05 and 06, 2012, 2013 with Red Bull, Sebastian Vettel. All right. Now, let's just put things into perspective here. When Fernando Alonso won the Bahrain Grand Prix in 2010, it had a little bit different layout. Will that mean anything? Well, he's in a car that's not supposed to win a Grand Prix, so
yeah.
I think it's very easy to make a prediction on who's going to win this Grand Prix. I mean, how broad do you need to be? Lewis Hamilton will win the Bahrain Grand Prix. You guys agree with that?
Yeah, my pick is Sir Lewis Hamilton. Remember,
yes,
absolutely.
He got knighted over the offseason.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, like for me, the reason I picked Lewis Hamilton, one Mercedes, you know, don't know what's
Lewis is fast and Mercedes is fast.
But even I know they were not fast in testing, but do you want to know what's funny? Do you want to know what years Mercedes was fast in testing and they won the title? 2015 and 2020. Most of the testing years most of them was Ferrari fastest in testing. But you know what happened after? It was Mercedes. Then Mercedes just won the titles because it's like Mercedes.
Ferrari, they're like I said before, they're the Toronto Maple Leafs of Formula 1. They're the Kwame Browns of Formula 1.
Like it's like Mercedes. Like you can't rule them out. They're fast. Like I know they were not fast in testing, but
they're fast. Toto Wolff, I 100% trusted him.
I think they just sandbagged. People said they were just.
They probably have.
Yeah, because like Mercedes, they know how to use their car. They have good strategies. Ferrari's car is faster than last year, but it's still
how much are they faster than last year's Ferrari? I still have them 5th in the World Constructors Championship.
It says they're 6/10 faster than last year's Ferrari, but
that's actually pretty good. 6/10 faster.
Yeah, but they were 1.8 off of Mercedes last year, so they're only now they're about 1.2 off Mercedes, which is still a gap.
A batch of podiums, Leclerc.
And Vettel, you know what happened last year with him spinning? I remember there was a joke on somebody made about F1. Like, somebody said, how did you damage your rear tires? What, did you pull a Sebastian Vettel in qualifying and wear out your tires?
Well, either you wear out your tires in qualifying or you're going to start in the back. That's how it goes in Formula 1.
Yeah, but Mercedes is probably going to win, dominate. And probably I think I know who's the top 3 probably going to be. It's probably going to be Lewis, then Valtteri, and then Max.
Yes, always the same thing. Have both verse happen.
That'll be just weird if it's still the same. People are like, oh, a new season. Lewis, Valtteri, and Max.
I have to argue, though, Justin, that this year's World Championship might look different in terms of the variety of podium appearances. We have McLaren, Mercedes for the first time since 2014. McLaren and Mercedes worked together to win a world championship. So don't discredit them. And they have two very, very fast drivers, Daniel Ricciardo and Lando Norris.
Yeah, but they got to try to.
In fact, I think we might see
But
McLaren at their near 10-year winless drought.
Yeah, but can they beat they got to try to beat
Silver Arrows.
They got to beat Red Bull to get. Like, Mercedes is probably still going to be untouchable. You're probably just going to see Mercedes zooming away in the distance, and people are like, "Bye." Mercedes like, "Bye, field. See you at the end of the season." And then Red Bull following them, and then it's all the other teams.
See, Max Verstappen, though, he's usually the kind to put soft tires in qualifying so that he can at least split the Mercedes for the start.
Yeah,
But Mercedes can like qualify on hards.
But do you know what's funny about some of the races that's probably going to happen again? Remember last year the trend of Valtteri being fastest in practices and Q1 and Q2, and Hamilton was fastest in Q3 and winning the race. It's like, if that happens,
Q3 to the race, it's all Lewis Hamilton. But beforehand, it seems like Riley Bottas is a little bit faster in practices.
Yeah, and then it's like Lewis just. It's like, we might hear again Lewis talking about his tires and then setting fastest laps after that. It's like, he says, my tires are bad, and then he starts setting the fastest laps somehow.
What else do I have to say about this year's World Championship? McLaren will have better speed, I think, compared to last year.
Yeah.
Renault, I don't know. Renault engines might just be a little bit different.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the fight to get in the podium will be the ultimate decider here. Max Verstappen may not just be safe anymore.
Yeah.
Bottas may not just be safe anymore. Qualifying, we'll see a lot of different possibilities here. Yeah. How about Aston Martin? I know Aston Martin Racing F1. We got a world champion in a mood he hasn't been in years. Optimistic again. I know Sebastian Vettel is probably not going to win the world championship, but I think he will have the confidence to go out there and perform like he had back in Red Bull era. Maybe even Toro Rosso.
Speaking of Red Bull, Sergio Perez might have a shot at the championship. He's with a powerhouse team now.
Yep.
Might be his best shot yet.
Like, it's going to be an interesting season. Like, there's some teams that I'm happy about. There's some teams I'm kind of concerned about, like Haas. They're the slowest. They were the slowest. They were slower than Williams, which is kind of bad. It's like
I have Haas finishing lower than Williams in constructors.
Yeah, me too. I just like people are like, oh, Mick's gonna bring them to a victory. I'm like, Haas is not gonna get a victory.
Scoring points will be a victory for Haas between Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin.
Like, I know people don't like Mazepin, but I'm like, Schumacher's not gonna. It's like the team is not good.
You can only do so much in a slow car.
Like, I feel like the highest rookie in F1 in 2021, I feel like the highest rookie will be Yuki Tsunoda. He's in a better car. The AlphaTauri has a decent pace, and Yuki Tsunoda was so close to Gasly in testing.
Now, mind you, I want to remind everybody about Yuki here. I think we're sleeping on Yuki Tsunoda because Yuki Tsunoda was in FIA Formula 3 2 years ago. He made one season in the FIA Formula 2 championship, and now he's in the world championship stage. This man is fast, and I think a lot of people, seem to look the other way on Yuki Tsunoda. But given the circumstances he's in, I think the ball's in his court for a bright future. And if you're Sergio Perez, you should be a little bit worried. 2021, I got a ride, but if I want to stay in Formula 1 in 2022, I better get my game together.
Yeah, you got to really perform because remember what Albon, people thought, Albon, people thought he was going to be faster than 2019.
Right.
that didn't work out because Red Bull kind of focused on Max a lot, but the year before that,
Albon's gone.
yeah, and remember Pierre Gasly?
Yeah.
Remember Pierre Gasly replaced Ricciardo in 2018. After 2018, 2019, he was doing not the best, but then he got shafted.
Red Bull makes it known that they're not afraid to switch drivers mid-season.
Yeah, and they put Albon. They promoted Albon, demoted Gasly, and Gasly started doing good at Toro Rosso. That's the thing. He struggled at a top tier team, but a thing that's fun. Not fun, but a thing that's interesting. Pierre Gasly won in an AlphaTauri car, which nobody expected that.
No one in a million years expected Pierre Gasly to win the Italian Grand Prix.
Absolutely. What an upset.
Yeah, and also there was actually a person in Finland that bet 20 cents on a Gasly, Sainz, Stroll podium in that order, but ended up... Yeah, somebody... And he actually won 33,000 euros.
That's incredible.
He won.
That's insane.
Yeah, somebody won 33,000 euros. That person, but
Rangers are up 4-3 against.
So it's basically Lewis Hamilton. He gifted Pierre Gasly the win because of his
drive-through penalty.
Yeah, and that was just I feel like Mercedes is going to be still doing good. I know 2022 is going to be different with the regulations, but 2021, I still feel like Mercedes is still going to be fast.
Yeah. Everybody's got one more year to get it right before the new car comes out. Or you got 1 year to prepare for the new car.
Yeah.
You never know who might be the shining stars in 2022. Remember,
Right.
Mercedes wasn't even that well in 2013.
Yeah.
Everybody thought, okay, well, how is Red Bull going to succeed with a new car? Who could stop Red Bull? Now it's who can stop Mercedes. Eras change, cars change, times change, drivers change.
Yeah.
We have a very exciting world championship on our hands. I don't care how normal it might seem. It's going to be interesting. And what about the sprint races? It's not 100% impossible that we might see some sprint races going on a Saturday instead of qualifying. Who knows? They're aiming at Canada for that, what's another? Not Canada, but France for that.
Yeah, but there's also other things. Just saying for people that don't pay attention to other motorsports in the FIA, F2 is going to have 2 sprint races and a feature race on the Sunday, which is kind of confusing.
It won't work for us.
I don't know how it's going to be confusing. Just 2 sprint races and then a feature race.
Now, those Formula 2 drivers have to be even more precise and more competitive. That's where we're going to lead off to the next discussion because I'm getting hungry and tired, just like everybody else. But FIA Formula 2 Championship will have 8 race weekends at the time of this podcast. So the FIA Formula 2 Championship will begin this weekend at the Bahrain International Circuit for week 1 of 8. I'm just going to list them all at the time of this podcast. Week 1 this weekend, and then a long wait till week 2, Monte Carlo, Monaco. Week 3, Baku City Circuit. Week 4, Silverstone. Week 5, Monza. Week 6, Sochi. Week 7, Jeddah. And week 8, Yas Marina.
That is not good. That is interesting. I just saw. Hopefully, the F2 weekend is this weekend also, but I think that MP Motorsports still hasn't announced their F2 driver to join Liram.
Oh, does that mean Javier Ragunathan's going to race?
No, I don't want him to.
I tricked you, man.
I don't.
At one point.
No, they haven't. There's no driver announced in their number 11 entry. And the season starts this weekend. They better get someone in there. Because I'd rather see Richard Verschoor in the car. He was the person testing. He actually did decent. Mahavir Ragunathan, no, I don't want to see another.
Come on, who doesn't like Lord Mahavir?
He's going to be finishing 22nd in every race. He's going to be last place.
But he was sure entertaining, to watch drive
But-
a Formula 2 car.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let's move on and be more serious though. The Formula 2
Yeah.
championship is the one step. You're just one step away from becoming a driver in the Formula One World Championship.
Yep.
Now, let's think about who might be the competitors in this. So now, of course, Callum Ilott has moved on to endurance racing.
Yeah.
Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, as well as Yuki Tsunoda, are up in Formula One now.
Yeah.
That leaves the door wide open for
Yeah.
some races that we might have seen around 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th last year, or from Formula 3. Let's throw in Robert Schwartzman. I think I really like Robert Schwartzman. In fact, I thought he could have had a seat in Formula One. He might be a test driver in the future.
Yeah.
He's paired with last year's Formula 3, FIA Formula 3 champion, Oscar Piastri.
Yeah. And then you got Univirtuosi Racing. They got Guan Yu Zhou returning. And they got Filip Drogovic. Drogovic is fast.
He's fast, and Guan Yu Zhou is very stable. Carlin, we see Dan Ticktum, two-time Macau Grand Prix champion. Jehan Jaruvla.
Yeah.
We see Jehan perform very well lately as well. High Tech Grand Prix. I have high hopes in Yuri Vips.
Oh, he was fast.
If you want to see an Estonian driver succeed in motorsport, cheer on Yuri Vips. He's got the grit and the talent to get the job done.
Yeah.
He's paired with Kiwi Liam Lawson.
Yep.
Our Grand Prix, I like Christian Lundgaard, but I'm also very, very interested in how Theo Pourchaire will perform.
He finished second in the FIA F3 championship last year. He has speed. I've seen him race. Like, I know he has a few F2 starts he
ran as a replacement driver, I believe.
Yeah,
Theo's got the talent.
Yeah,
let's move on real quick.
MP only has the 12 of Liram Zendelli. The 11 is still up in the air of who's in that car.
How about Drew's racing system? We have Guilherme Simel from Sao Paulo and David Beckman from Germany. I've seen Beckman race beforehand. How about Israeli driver Roy Nassani from the Williams program? He'll be a test driver. He was actually part of testing.
Yeah, in day one.
Day one of Formula One testing. Marcus Armstrong, New Zealand driver for Doms. I think we'll see him in the Ferrari system. Campos Racing will be racing with heavy hearts as Adrian Campos passed away in the offseason. Ralph Burchong and Gianluca Pitikoff.
Oh, no.
HWA Race Lab will have Matteo Nannini.
He is a decent driver, but it's his team.
Then you have Alessio Milano.
Oh no!
Seemed to be seemed like the public roads was the one place where he could actually pass on the behind the wheel of a car and film it and post it on Instagram.
But he was actually he was the slowest.
Slowest in Formula 3 gets a Formula 2 ride.
And
money talks.
But the funniest thing, he finished behind part-time drivers. He finished 34th out of 35 drivers, and he was the lowest full-time driver in F3. It's like,
and last but not least,
Trident.
You have Bent Miskal from the Netherlands and Marino Sato, no relation to Indy 500 champion and former F1 driver Takuma Sato.
Which Marino Sato, he actually scored his first point last year. But
he's a pretty okay driver. I mean,
I've seen him.
His stats don't represent his talent.
Yeah, I've seen him. He also raced for Campos. Remember when Boccolacci went to a Trident in 2019? So they put Marino for the final few races. It's like F2 is going to be interesting with 2 sprint races on Saturday and the feature race on the Sunday. That's just going to be interesting of how it's going to be.
All right, so how are we going to make these F2 predictions with the nature of the unknowns of the 3 race weekends? We're just going to make a prediction. Who's going to have the best average finish across all 3 races for week 1 of the 2021 FIA Formula 2 Championship?
I have mine. I have Felipe Drogovic because he was good in Bahrain last year. He was fast during Bahrain. I feel like he's going to carry that speed in his Union Virtuosi Racing entry. I feel like he's going to have the best average this weekend.
Robert Schwartzman is a very mature driver, and I believe there's a lot of potential in him this year to become the Formula 2 champion. So I'm going to go with Robert Schwartzman. In fact, he led for a good portion of last year's season. So
That's true. That is true.
All right. So I think that's it for this podcast. And before we go, I just wanted to mention that this has been a pretty sad week in endurance racing. 3 stars of endurance sports car racing lost their lives in this past week, including 2-time Nürburgring 24-hour champion Sabine Schmidt's wreck. Sabine Schmitz passed away of cancer at the age of 51, and she was considered to be one of the greatest drivers at the Nürburgring, becoming the first woman to win the 24 hours of Nürburgring overall. In 1996 and 1997, being dubbed the Queen of the Ring, she grew up in lived just around the corner from the circuit, and it was a very sad loss. A lot of people didn't know about her health situation. It was kept private until the very end. And Sabine Schmidt was gone at 51. And if you're a Top Gear fan like I am, you can't. How about the box truck driven around the Nürburgring in a box truck, almost a 10-minute lap time? I think that's ridiculous. But maybe we just got to get Clarkson, Hammond, and May back on the Top Gear. Okay, back on topic here. Longtime Porsche privateer team owner Manfred Kramer passed away at the age of 82. His team won the 1968 Spa 24 hours, 1979 24 hours of Le Mans overall, and the 1996, 95 or 96 Daytona 24 hours overall. And of course, overnight we learned that Ayrton Senna's first teammate, one of his first teammates in the 1988 24 hours of Le Mans winner, Johnny Dumfries, passed at 62 of a short illness, and it's just very, sad to see that. Yeah, endurance racing is very interesting. A lot of people, you never know how many successful drivers are in endurance racing until you notice. You have to look really deep on your end to see how successful these drivers really are.
Yeah,
and it's also a team sport. Everybody has their own contribution into being a successful campaign and really in motorsports as a whole. So I hope you guys enjoy the race weekend. We have a lot of motorsports to talk about next week. I can't wait to see what happens at Bristol. And I certainly am excited for the new World Championship.
In F1, yeah. It's going to be an interesting weekend with all the races going on. It's going to be really interesting.
All right, so I think it's time to call it quits for tonight. For Daniel Ford and Justin Hebert, I'm Joe Landy Pavlon signing off. Have a good night.